there, and welcome back.
What is this place?
Disconnected.
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 Disconnected. Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected. Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
I'm starting to feel disconnected.
You have reached a number that has been disconnected.
Hello there, and welcome to another Thursday. This week, live with one of my inspirations in this industry, Mr. Justin Beahm. Hi.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. How did you track down all those lines from the different films? Were you like trolling scripts and control effing, or what were you doing? How did you do that?
I will share an insider secret with you afterwards.
Yeah, please.
I got it down, but I mean that. I mean, everything that you've done through Reverend over the years has always been amazing to see, important to me. And when I started doing a lot of this, look to your success as somebody that I could try to emulate. So thank you.
Oh my God, that's huge. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm sincerely honored. Thank you.
There's a lot of people stoked to see you tonight. I don't always get a ton of messages, but today I got at least, I think, 3 or 4 from people just, dude, you got Justin on tonight. This is going to be amazing.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Whoever is out there watching, thank you so much. And thanks again for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. I mean, we were just talking about it. It's been over like almost exactly 2.5 years since the last time you did anything with the show, and that feels far too long.
It really does. Yeah. I mean, I love from afar admiring all that you're doing. And as I've acknowledged in the past, I love how you've been helping out the TerraVision guys. Yeah. I mean, Ryan and Brad are putting so much love into what they're doing over there. And it's been a tremendous period of growth for them over the last couple years. I love your live streams with them. And it's this great kind of like polar opposites with Brad on one side of the screen and then Ryan on the other. And Brad's always like fired up and singing and stuff. And then Ryan's sitting over there like, grr. And then you're in the middle, kind of like threading the needle between the two of them, and you do a great job with that stuff.
Or orchestrating them is man, it's tough sometimes.
Well, but it's exciting for people. What people are getting out of all of that is really, it's like a real-time presentation of the birth of a label. It's not Ryan's record label's been around forever, and he just done a tremendous job with that. But you're seeing a video distribution company come together like before your eyes, and I think it's just so awesome. I love it. So nice.
Kind of crazy how they're growing like release to release and seeing stuff, you know, for a company that was like, oh my gosh, they got video violence a couple years ago. And now it's, they got Student Bodies 4K from Paramount. Like, this is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just the beginning. I mean, even back when I was helping them out, the list of things that they have in hand is absolutely mind boggling. So kudos to them. And also exciting, not to make this a whole TerraVision love fest here, but, kudos to, it's exciting that Ryan has his own record press now.
Yeah,
and that he gets huge. When you guys were talking about the custom pressings and all that, I was like, oh, because that's when I was working on my record. And I'm thinking, how cool would that have been to have something as someone who's buying the music completely customizable like that? I think it's great. Well,
speaking of that, Jake is here, wants to talk about your album. You've had a ton of stuff happen this year. We'll get to the book. We'll get to some more of the special features, but tell everybody about the album, because I've listened to it multiple times and it's quite enjoyable. So
thank you.
I hope people check it out. Link in the description before he starts talking about it.
It was the most unexpected thing, Ryan. There was no plan in place for it at all. And, I've always been a drummer all my life, and that's not to minimize drumming at all or drummers at all, but that's definitely where my heart is rooted. And that's going back to when I was little in the Drum and Bugle Corps in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the Emerald Knights. Shout out to any EK alumni out there. When I was this little kid carrying cymbals around that were like half the size of my body. Anyway, drumming has always been my thing. But I've always loved guitarists. I've always had a real ear and passion for great guitarists. I'm like a tone junkie. And so I've been paying attention to that stuff over the years. And I worked in music retail where I was able to hand someone a guitar and not show them anything. I could sell drums a little better than guitars, as my friend Josh Luce will attest, who worked with me for many of those years. But anyway, this summer, or earlier this year, a friend of mine John Stalter gave me a guitar. It was something that he was wanting to downsize his collection a little bit, and he had a couple of the Kurt Cobain Fender Jag-Stangs, which is a guitar that Kurt designed. And John wrote to me one day and said, "Hey, I'm downsizing, and I always said to myself, if this guitar ever had to go anywhere, I wanted it to go to you."
Oh,
Yeah, how sweet is that?
that's
And
awesome.
so next thing you know, I'm driving over there and picking up the guitar, and then he lent me a little practice amp and a cord, and I had my headphones and came home, and it was like, like in Dazed and Confused, where the kid lays down in his bed, puts his headphones on, but it was me with this guitar, just noodling around. And I started doing this, and I decided to experiment with recording. I'm dealing with recording and film editing stuff all the time. So I'm like, well, let's plug this in. And then I started making songs, and then eventually had enough to do something with. And it really is through the support of my friends, everybody around me, who are just cheering me on throughout the whole thing, helping me feel validated in it, despite my self-consciousness, which is near crippling when it comes to this.
Same.
Man, I just can't say enough. And on the liner notes for the album, I thank all the people who were really like instrumental in, pun intended, in this whole thing coming together. And then teaming up with Waxwork on the vinyl was a dream come true.
It's got to feel huge.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, they're masters at their game. They know what they're doing, and people really love them and their work. And I knew the music was very weird. When people ask and when I sent a few songs to friends early on, they'd be like, well, what is this? Help me understand what you're doing here.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to instill some kind of confidence in people. And I thought that teaming up with a label like that, an established label that's famous for the quality of their pressings, would probably be the most direct route to that. And I found, they were open to the idea, and working with them was a dream. And at a time when everyone's vinyl's delayed, it seems like every new release, John 5's album came out the same day as mine, which is an insane thing to say. But what? But he's amazing, and shouldn't be playing with Motley Crue, by the way. That's kind of like putting, I don't know, me in Trans-Siberian Orchestra or something. I don't know. That's a really bad analogy. That was the worst analogy.
That's fitting, actually.
I'm not sure that it was. That was kind of a mess. But anyway, it's a shame. He needs to be with Rob. He needs to be back with Rob Zombie, and that's the hill I'm going to die on here regarding John 5 today. But anyway, to the point, he announced his new album is delayed because of pressing stuff. And with Waxwork, they gave me an estimated delivery date of like October 8th. I had it a full month early.
I was going to say, you beat that by a lot.
A huge amount of time. And I'm like, do I sit on these? I'm like, no, anyone who pre-ordered was getting them right away. So as soon as the order came in, and it's still the case, if someone orders one of these from me, I'm literally taping up the box, putting the stuff in there, and then driving it to the post office. If not the same day, it'll be the next morning. It's kind of a process I've come to love, actually, because it's, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. And I loved all the steps in getting it out there and into people's hands. So
all of that, and he hasn't even said the name of the album, Phantom Lightkeeper. Check it out. Link is in the description below. He's terrible at self-promotion, just like me, but he deserves the kudos.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
But on that note, that's not even all you've done this year. Tell everybody about the book, because that was out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was crazy. So I've had this column with TV Guide's Remind magazine for a while. It's their entertainment nostalgia magazine. People might remember a couple years ago, I can't remember what year it was, maybe like 3-4 years ago or something, they brought me in as the guest editor of their October issue. And I turned it into this Halloween franchise, like love fest, and got a ton of great interviews, brought some fantastic writers into the fold on it. It turned out great. Every subscriber to the magazine hated it. And I was hearing from them on it. They're like, so some subscribers aren't real thrilled because it shows. I wish I had it sitting next to me. And I planned better. The cover. This is a magazine that features like, I don't know, Eric Estrada on the cover every month, and it's all vintage TV and good time stuff. And then this issue shows up. The cover is just stark black with Michael Myers' mask front and center, and almost no text. None of the usual. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the readers were just with pitchforks and torches, when they saw that. But anyway, the horror fans loved it, and we did a cool signing at Dark Delicacies, and it began a great relationship with them. And the next year, I pitched a Munsters theme because Rob Zombie's Munsters was coming out, and so I talked to Rob about it, and he's like, "Yo, let's do something." And so we did new interviews and behind the scenes things on that. And then I was like, I love working with this team because I'm all about like working with people I care about. If I find a place where I feel safe and good and where I am morally compatible with the people I'm working with, I'm just like, I need to be here. I need to stay here. And that was the case with Remind. And so I pitched them an idea for a column every month that had nothing to do with what they're Scared the Paunch fans. Yeah. Right. What is he doing now? He does a parade. I think he does that Hollywood parade.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I pitched them on a column about shuttered roadside attractions, amusement parks, those kind of like tourist trap places that are along the route when you're taking a vacation. But I wanted to focus on the ones that had come and gone from the past. Yeah. And so every month since then, I've been doing this column and loving it. The research is so fascinating. And I've discovered some of the weirdest, most wonderful people, weirdest places, wonderful people. And the real exciting part for me with that column is that it's spotlighting people who came up with a crazy idea and then just insisted that it become a reality. Like stop at nothing to make this amusement park where there's alligators wandering around free. And let's make postcards where children are riding on the backs of the alligators. And then let's actually let the kids ride on the alligators. Like this was real and it was in Los Angeles. It's just one of many, but I've really delighted in that. And the book is a compilation of the first, I think, 27 months of columns, with some expanded information on each one of the parks or attractions in there, and put it together pretty quickly. And frankly, I haven't talked much about this, but I can maybe plant a little seed here that when I was a kid, there was a book series that I was obsessed with. I checked them out from the library so many times that the librarians would end up holding them for me when they got returned by other kids. So because I was there all the time. I'm sure my brother Mitch is watching this and he can testify to this. I mean, we were always riding our bikes to the library. And I was obsessed with these books. And then they're called the Crestwood House Monster Series. Now, Crestwood House made many books on lots of different topics. I really admire their mission statement of creating accessible books for readers of all levels, aimed at younger readers, right? But not shooting too high with the vocabulary and references, but also not dumbing it down to the point where it's boring. So they did a magnificent job of that. And I have so many of their books. I have all the monster stuff from all their different monster runs, in addition to their cryptozoology. They did books on things like skiing, like what is a cow, and onto profiles of Ernie Banks and whoever else. I mean, it was a really diverse, exciting brand, and I've always been obsessed with them and spent my life accumulating them at different thrift shops and antique stores, book sales at libraries and stuff, because they were only available to libraries. And so the ones you find out there, again, I wish I had them next to me here, but it's great because they sort of tell their own story, because they're tattered, they're worn. They have the cards in the pocket in the back with the names of the kids and the date that they had to have them returned. And I treasure that stuff. And so there's a unique bond that many people my age have to this book series, and that ultimately the publishing company, Crestwood House. And a couple years ago, I started working with my lawyer. My entertainment lawyer is Larry Zerner from Friday the 13th, Part 3. He's always been so wonderful to me. And I hit him up one day with the idea, can we see if this is doable? Can we track what's going on? Because Crestwood had been silent for a very long time, many years. And we ended up, long story long, we ended up working it out, secured the trademark, and Crestwood is coming back. But there was a deadline for having to have something on the market. You have to have a physical product on the market, available outside your home state, yada, yada, yada. Proof of sale. And I had already filed 2 extensions on that to hold on to it. And he reached out to me in January. I think it was January. And he said that the deadline was coming up again for the extension. He's like, do you just want me to file it? And I was like, no, let me see if I can do something. And he goes, come on. Because it was the part I forgot. This is like January, I don't know, 10th, he's telling me this. He's like, you have until February 15th.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, no, let's see if we can do it. He's like, okay, like I'll be expecting your email about the extension. And
3 days prior.
It was insane. And so I reached my one of my best friends in the world, and the only real coworker I have is my friend Lynn Amaker, who lives in Farmer City, Illinois, where I used to work for the Illinois Valley Press, Farmer City Journal, and some weekly papers there. And Lynn is on Teams with me all day. He's also my guiding light when it comes to like layout stuff, Photoshop tricks. He does graphic design for a bunch of projects that I do. He's like the angel that floats over me. 100% is Lynn. I owe all my friends so much. Lynn is a very unique entity in my world that I'm eternally grateful for. But I wrote to him and I said, what do you think? And he's like, you can do this. He's like, let me know how I can help. And I had never laid out a book before. I had never any of this. And so with Lynn's guidance, with his help, I was able to get this thing delivered and done like 2 days, maybe it was 1 or 2 days prior to the deadline. And I sent Larry the email with a screenshot of the confirmation of the sale, like the first sales and the ISBN information and all that. And so the purpose of telling that whole story is that book this year was to solidify for me the Crestwood House trademark in trade. So now, starting next year, is a whole new focus, and there's going to be many more exciting things to come on here and talk to you about, and not wait 2.5 years to do so. Relating to that, but it's one of my greatest thrills in life, because I loved those books so much. I just adore them, and I'm excited to do a lot of crazy stuff with that brand again and give people that nostalgic return to their youth in a lot of ways. So.
And you're bearing that torch to a whole new generation. That's cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have done so much for physical media. So tonight, after all of the announcements, we're going to be discussing special features, how they get made, some of your most exciting ones. The last couple of years, you've had some crazy things like freaking Nicolas Cage. Like, we have so much to discuss.
There's a story there. Yeah.
So hang out after the announcements tonight. But let's get into some of our usual stuff. Collecting physical media. Obviously, you're contributing to it. Are you buying much anymore? Are you picking up a lot of new things?
Yeah, I still get things once in a while. I'm super busy, and so I try to stay up on it, but I'm not as current as I used to be, where I was always like waiting for release day for this and that. There are some things that I'll always be on top of, but really not as much as I used to. But I have picked up a few things. You had mentioned prior to our discussion that we were going to share some of our new pickups, and so I do have a few at hand here. Yeah,
let's see them. What do you got? What's been important lately?
Well, the first one to continue the TerraVision Love Fest is the WNUF double bill, which I already had the first film, but this is in Walmart, and that's one of the great feats that TerraVision has managed over the last couple of years here, is getting this stuff on the shelves of Walmart. I'll never forget back when when I was growing up, Walmart insisted on censored covers.
Yeah.
Remember that? Movies that they would like
That's
say.
not even that long ago. I mean,
I know.
Satanic Panic, that came out like 5 or 6 years ago. They had to release it in Walmart with a slipcover that said just the word panic. They could not use the word satanic on it.
It's hilarious. And now they're carrying like, anyway, like, but they got, I think it was Malum was the one that really surprised me. When TerraVision's film Malum landed in there, the cover of Malum is like 2 evil eyes and then just a blood pentagram in the middle. And I'm thinking, how, in what world? I remember the Poison, like open up and say tape, not being able to have the tongue. Anybody remember that out there?
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff is what used to happen. And now Walmart's like, oh, let's put I Spit on Your Grave in here. And we got a box set of it. But this tremendous. I love the WNUF films, especially the first one. Some of my most treasured discoveries over the last few years here. It absolutely awesome. Are we going to take turns or should I keep going?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Second one is a pickup because I couldn't find my copy of it. And I've also lost, there's like a box of stuff since I moved earlier this year that it's still missing and it's killing me. But I could not find my collection of Roseanne's Halloween specials.
I never would have guessed that at all when you were leading up to that.
I'm missing so many CDs. I'm missing movies. I couldn't find my Garfield Halloween special.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's so good. I know I have it somewhere, but I cannot locate it. But I could not find my Roseanne, and I was really wanting to get it. So I found a used copy of Roseanne. It says it's 8 episodes, but it's you can stick with the first 6 or so. The last couple seasons of Roseanne were not exactly great.
A little wacky.
Little understatement. And then Severin.
Beautiful box.
The Feeding Frenzy box. This is reverse on my camera. Hopefully it's not. But 6 discs, 3 films, soundtrack CDs, and this.
Nice.
Christian, the author of this, I was so blown away when this showed up. I instantly started flipping through the book before I put any of the discs in or anything. I opened it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I love stuff like this. There's a great book that's it's like the complete Bigfoot filmography is what it's called. And in each case, and it's thorough, it covers everything: TV episodes, reality stuff, documentaries, feature films. And what Christian did with this book is very, very similar. And so in both cases, I reach out to the author and I'm like, I love you and I love your work. And do you want to come do some stuff? And so I've actually been talking with Christian about teaming up on some things.
Nice.
Because this book is awesome. I mean, it covers everything down to, it's very thorough and gets into like the direct to Tubi type films that we're seeing a lot of now, like the CG stuff, which is appreciated because I'm always been a junkie for shark movies and mix the Italian stuff in with it. And then this tremendous book that was an instant buy from Severin. So that's kind of my recent pickups. They've been killing it. Yeah.
It's hard not to. Absolutely. I got a few here, nothing super major, but stuff that I'm excited about. Deaf Crocodile put out a new release of their double feature of Signals and In the Dust of the Stars. This is one that they had put out previously. They'd been hard to find for a little while, and this is with one of their new slip covers. Really great animation stuff that they've been doing. Have you paid much attention to Deaf Crocodile?
I haven't. No. But you've mentioned that name to me before, and I definitely need to dive in on it.
Well, it's kind of hard because pretty much everything they put out, nobody has heard of unless you're attending like Cinematheque screenings all the time. So it's difficult. But I mean, Dennis Bartok knows everything under the sun about film. So it's going to be film school, and I love that. So
well, that's what I love about what OCN and Vinegar are doing too, in the diversity of the lineup of films there, and that you can trust Deaf Crocodile and his perspective on film to guide you into new territory and more interesting movies you haven't heard of. You're going to show up for them and their guidance, right? And that's what I think Justin's done with OCN in a lot of ways. And a lot of those sub labels are now building their own very dedicated fan base
Yep.
And so it's a wonderful incubator for that kind of stuff that no other label would pay attention to. I remember pitching stuff to some of the companies that I've worked with in the past, and they would just roll their eyes at me like, what? No, just no. Just you don't need to be asking us these questions anymore.
I feel like I've heard that exact same sentence in the last couple months.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah. One thing, I'm super glad that Kino is taking a chance on more of the made for TV stuff.
Yes.
So they're putting out
the
some of the
Dan
Dan
Curtis
Curtis stuff. Dead of Night just arrived literally today from Atomic Movie Store. Very excited to see these. Of course, Amanda Reyes is involved in a couple of the Dan Curtis things. She's always
great.
incredible.
Oh yeah, so good. And they just announced, there was another one that I just saw. I don't know if it was just announced or maybe released, but there's 2 or 3 in that Dan Curtis series from them, and I want them all.
Yeah, I
Dark
definitely gotta
Shadows
have them.
forever.
One that I love the movie. I'm very skeptical of how this 4K is going to look, but literally just got here like an hour and a half ago. Wolf Creek from Imprint in Australia. I'm sure you've seen Wolf Creek.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I like the original. I haven't seen the sequels, but yeah.
I've never seen the sequels either. I've always wanted. There's a TV show. I've never seen a second of the TV show. Yeah, literally, there's like a 3-season TV show.
3 seasons. Well, how many more times are people going to wander into the desert and encounter this guy? What? It's
You
not
think
like
they'd
they can
learn by
hide.
now.
It's not even a camp with forest around it. It's just
Right.
plains of Australia. Anyway, I'm sure it's great.
The last thing, kind of semi-related to you, because I thought it was really cool to see Bloody Disgusting run a piece on Phantom this year. That was
awesome.
incredible to see them promoting you. I had no idea that Bloody Disgusting had teamed up to put out shorts on Blu-ray at all. And they've got this series called World of Death. And I saw somebody getting rid of these on Facebook. And so I picked up the first 4 volumes, traded in for these. These all have almost 30 or a little over 30 in some cases short films that have been online. And you can still pick these up from Bloody Disgusting right now. They're BDRs, but I mean, how often do you get shorts on physical media that aren't just a bonus feature of some director's work?
I've been saying that for years. I go to these independent film festivals that I love, and I see, because it's just this raw, unfiltered, and unmolested artistry. When you're creating something out of your own pocket, and when you're just, I always compare these things to like the first album from a band. They are arriving in the studio with years of drive and just blood and sweat and whatever to get there. And that's something so pure that you cannot distill and that you cannot replicate and do again. And the world of independent film festivals, people, if you're jaded by what you're seeing on streaming in theaters, I will guarantee you that within driving distance is a film festival that is going to offer you nothing but fresh ideas. Not that it's all going to be great. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, if you're opening yourself up to experiencing something new, it's out there, and this is the place to go. And the thing is, the filmmakers are hardly ever, rarely, almost never getting anything out of having these films. In fact, they're spending money.
They're spending.
And that's what a lot of people don't know, is that to enter a lot of these festivals, there's a fee. And then they have to pay to travel, to go attend. Not every festival brings you in and all that. So, I mean, it's really a labor of love for these filmmakers, and that's exciting. And I hope that they're licensed and cared for by Bloody on those sets. I think that's a tremendous idea, and I hope they continue it.
They have 7 of them. I got to go get the next 3 off their site at some point. They're not super cheap, but for what they are, I think that's pretty fair. It's $25 each. So
I got to look that up.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent deal. You're talking about shorts. One of the big thing too that I've always appreciated about some of these fests is most of these directors, this is like their most honed work, because they've been gearing up towards their first thing for 4 or 5 years. So they've been polishing it like crazy, and they finally make a 15-minute short, and it's this massive work of art that they've been working on since they were 19, and here it is finally in front of the world at 25 or something. And now on their first feature, if they happen to get super lucky and can make it right after that, they only have 8 months to make it, or 2 weeks to make it, and it's not going to be anywhere near as polished or as fully thought out sometimes as that short can be.
Well, they have no other cooks in the kitchen. There are cooks in the kitchen, but I'm just saying, like, producer wise, which is what interferes with a lot of director visions.
Yep.
When you're dealing with anyone who's investing, they're going to have notes and things like that. Maybe the case with some of these shorts. I'm sure a good portion are, but I will say that it is, like I said, pure. The purity that's associated with the presentation in those films at those festivals is so great, and they don't have to worry about offending people, about crossing boundaries, about blending genres. It's like, and there are some great film festivals that are open to whatever comes their way in terms, though, we're only a horror festival. Well, what's considered horror? It's kind of subjective. And I love the festivals that are happy to blend, sort of mix the waters on that stuff. That's really
Speaking
cool.
of watching films, what have you been staying up to date on? What have you been able to catch recently?
I saw Black Phone 2.
Nice. How'd you feel about the change in genres, seemingly?
I really enjoyed it. I was never a huge fan of the original. I thought it was fine, and I really wasn't that excited for the new one.
Yeah.
But I had a movie pass thing, and so I'm like, I want to see something. I had a few hours while I was running exports, which can take a while to, you know how that goes, or an upload, I think it was at that time, and decided to go check it out. And I was so pleasantly surprised by it. I'm a junkie for winter movies, and this thing is one of the snowiest, winteriest, unabashedly frozen movies that I've ever seen. And so the weather was perfect that day. It was overcast and a little bit of rain, mist outside, cool weather finally here in Iowa. And so the stars aligned to go check this thing out. And it was a little talky for me, is what I've said to some people.
Yeah.
And some of the dialogue was kind of hackneyed, but the final act in that movie is off the rails.
Yeah.
And I so admire the fact that they went where they did with it. And I love that remote, snowy setting at this, I mean, pretty much abandoned camp. I don't want to spoil it for people, but the setting is bliss for me. And then when you get to that third act and they're just swinging hard at the fences, I'm like, yeah, keep going. And I walked out very happy. So
I would agree with all of that. Yeah, I saw it, and I liked it much more than the first one. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Showed my kids a couple films. They're finally 9.5-ish, 10-ish, where it's like, hey, we can kind of show you some of the like soft PG-13 type of films for some of them, because they're okay with some things and not others. So I showed them Underwater from 5 years ago or so with Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the perfect bridge to essentially Alien. It's basically Alien Underwater,
Makes sense.
I loved that movie from day one. They were quite enraptured with it, which I love to see. And the big thing about that movie is, 2.5 minutes into it is where it starts, and it never lets off. So they were like, oh, what's this? We're swimming. Oh my gosh, here we go. And then for the next hour and a half, they were just 100% in, which was incredible to see.
I remember watching, this is a while back. This is like years ago, but my son, he and some other kids were watching. We had Friday the 13th on, and they were almost angry with how bored they were with the movie. They just could not handle it. So it sounds like you went you made the right choice there to keep them engaged and get them into it. That's exciting, turning the kids onto that stuff.
Another one that is semi-related to something that you did, another one that we showed them this week, is Crawl. Alexandra Aja's Crawl. I liked this movie quite a bit when it came out, and the only thing, the 4K disc, which is where it's tangentially related to you in a few ways, it looks very good, but man, does it really highlight how CG the alligators are in this film.
Does it? I haven't even watched the disc yet.
I mean, it's not terrible, but man, it's quite obvious in CG,
Oh,
which
yeah.
it helped. I mean, I'm showing young kids this Animal Attacks film, and this is the first one like that they've ever seen. So
Yeah, yeah.
this is one that they were sort of taken with as well, because I mean, this is probably it's not even a super gory film, but there's one scene where the guy's arm gets removed, and
Right.
they show a lot of that, and so they weren't ready for those scenes, but thankfully it looks a little fake with the alligator.
The next stop for you, Ryan, is Grizzly.
It's a good idea.
It
It's
has
not my
like
favorite of that era.
I love Grizzly so much. It's one of my comfort food movies, and your kids will love, if they couldn't handle the arm, they're gonna love when a bear punches the head off a horse.
Yeah.
They're just gonna, trust me, they'll be converted to the animals gone amok subgenre at that point. There's so many great animal movies. We did.
Yeah.
I'm on a podcast called Get Me Another. And what we do is we take a successful film and then we spend, I don't know, 10 episodes breaking down films that tried to replicate its success.
Yeah.
And we did Get Me Another Jaws this summer. And it was so great because I got to throw in all these weirdo movies that I was so excited to talk about, but knew I'd never have the opportunity to. And we got into the Grizzlies, and I mean, the whole series was just a blast to do. So I'm a big fan of that subgenre.
I love Grizzly. Grizzly 2 is not anywhere near the same.
Okay. Grizzly 2 is a real movie that stars George Clooney. And now I'm going to say stars in big air quotes. Who is it? Laura Dern, Charlie Sheen.
Yep.
George Clooney. And then, and they were making this movie. And then the guy who was this is in the 80s, I think. And the guy who was backing it disappeared with the money. And so they couldn't finish the film. Somehow, someone at some point down the line got the rights to it. Did they? I don't know. And then they added in a bunch of contemporary B-roll footage of bears climbing trees and drone shots over forests and things like that, and released it with these celebrity names at the top
build,
with all the raw bear effects in there, like untouched bear effects that are so bad and so great. It's really a masterpiece.
It's so fun. My favorite of that era that feels like those, I truly adore Day of the Animals. I think that movie is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the double bill, right? My hair is really bothering me here. Sorry. The double bill is Grizzly and Day of the Animals. Yeah. I mean, what an incredible duo of films there. But I worked on Alligator. That's one of my all-time favorites. That's Alligator 2, The Mutation. I could just go on and on. The late Lee Gambin was really the torch carrier for this world
for all eco horror.
And he wrote books on it and spoke on it and did screenings. And even at the point where I was talking with Lee a couple weeks before his surprise passing, he was talking about doing this new documentary on this stuff. And John Campopiano, a mutual friend of ours, it was like going to be this thing. And then we lost him. So R.I.P. Lee for sure. But every time I throw one of those movies in, I got to think of him a little bit too.
Same. It's been wild seeing releases come out with just new stuff that he had been working on for so long. And then finally to see it come out. And it's posthumously 18 plus months after his passing has been wild to see.
Well, he was so prolific.
Yeah.
He really was just an absolute animal pun intended, not intended on that one. He was an animal when it came to this stuff, but he was, every time you get a message from him or get a call from him, he's all fired up and talking about this, and this, and this, and he would do it all.
Yeah.
So the thing that can be said about Lee is that he was one of us for sure.
In a very short period of time, prolific as well. A lot of people think he was doing it for a very long time. He didn't really start being attached to the whole industry. He did screenings in Australia and stuff, but to the industry at large, he was only doing it for 6 or 7 years or something like that. Really as heavily as he did, which is insanity.
Yeah, writing for the magazines too and everything. So I mean, he left a big legacy in a short window of time.
All right. Tonight, one thing that we got to talk about before we go into the announcements is the fervor around Scream Factory this week. Have you paid attention to any of this?
Yeah, I've been asked by about 100 people about this, and so I've had to tune into it. And I saw the. Go ahead. You probably have notes here that you want to run through.
No, I mean, there's no notes. The big thing here is suddenly right after their Shocktober sale, their website was showing prices that for many people were literally too good to be true. Like liquidation sale prices, everything must go. Holy hell, they're absolutely going out of the business. And immediately following the shock of it, somebody on the Blu-ray.com forums, which historically full of all of the correct information, no drama, and absolutely trustworthy anonymous commenting. Somebody commented and said, yes, Scream Factory is exiting the physical media market. They will be gone within the next few months. Good luck with the sale, essentially, is what they said. Which is insanity. Scream Factory just spent like $2-digit million on this Golden Princess library. They have been investing in a lot of upcoming restorations. The last couple months, they've been announcing almost 20 releases a month. Sure, many of them are the same 4K discs in new packaging. However, they're selling like crazy. Anybody that is doing that to exit the sector would be one of the dumbest decisions ever made. You're just walking away from a shit ton of money. So on that front, any comments from you, Mr. Justin Beahm?
I mean, it is the internet's habit to take the headline, and explode it into a million opinions. And I think that one person. There was the screenshot of the movie club or something, which I wasn't even aware Shout had. What was that? Are you aware of what this thing was?
It's a loyalty program. They called it. This is where it gets super ironic very quickly for them. They should have named it something else, but they called it the Physical Media Forever plan or club, and it shuttered like a year and 3 days after it launched. So the running joke was the Physical Media for a year club.
Oh man, that's harsh. Well, someone posted their email screenshot of that having been like the notice to the fan club members or whatever that there was going to be a change in how they were distributing and all that stuff. And it's the big discussion in the whole industry right now is like, what's next? And meanwhile, everyone's looking around going, what is happening? Because it's like fires burning all around the industry that are kind of encroaching in various ways. And the physical media thing is a conversation I've been having since I started in this business. Back when I very first started doing this stuff. Physical media is dead. And now look at all these indie labels that are doing great and whatever else. Even Paramount ended up getting back on the train with Paramount Presents and these other things. So I think my read on it, and I have no inside information on this whatsoever. My read on it is that it may be a decision made internally to transition how they're distributing to those fan club people or pricing it, or I don't even know what that plan was. So I can't really speak to that, but I cannot imagine that they're going anywhere. And what I will say with conviction, because of personal experience, is that when I was working there, they were adamant that they were a physical media company. I would pitch things to them about, because they eventually got Shout TV underway, right? The Roku app and all that. And I'd be like, I have stuff from these interviews that we could put on Shout TV as like a bridge between the two, and we could advertise with the Blu-ray announcement, and there's extra content on Shout TV or something. And what I got back was, we're a physical media company. I mean, they were building Shout TV and obviously not shying away from their efforts there, but it was made very clear to me that was not something that they really wanted to dance with.
Right.
So the whole time I was there, and granted it was a different lineup of people when I was working with them, Cliff and Jeff were evangelists for physical media, and they stood by their releases. They stood by their mission statement to do their best by all these titles, the entire time that I was with them. And so I cannot imagine any company with that kind of framework being broken down to the point in such short order where they're just going to walk from physical media. So I say nay. I don't believe that it's the case.
Well, and the other evidence, this is a dumb word to use about that, but the other evidence is that their umbrella corporation that owns Shout Factory now, or Shout Studios, it's not Shout Factory,
Right.
has merged with FilmRise. They
FilmRise.
also acquired FilmRise, and for a lot of people that means on the surface, oh, now they're only focusing on streaming, so they're gone. The joke here, though, is if you pay attention elsewhere, over the last 3 days, Groove or Gruv, I know a lot of people pronounce it either
I've
way.
never known how to say it. I always think, is that Grove?
I always say
What a
Groove, but
gross
I don't know.
name. Sounds like a disease.
It is the storefront for STS, Studio Distribution Services, which is servicing Universal, WB, and a bunch of these other smaller companies that is just, hey, we don't have a storefront. You take care of it for us. You're already distributing. It makes sense. You already got the product. Why would you send it to us to send to other people? So here we go. Shout Factory, God, I did it again. Shout Studios, they all of a sudden, the last 3 days, have more than 1,700 SKUs listed on Groove. So it appears that Groove is just going to be the one that carries them now. And all there's stuff that used to be Shout site exclusives that now say Groove exclusives on the Groove website. So it's pretty obvious. Like, they're cutting out the middleman. They don't want to pay for shipping twice. It's probably costing them a ton of money. Why pay for somebody to do customer service for you when you can just do it through Groove?
The landscape has shifted.
Yeah.
For those of us who are dedicated to this cause, we cannot ignore the fact or pretend it's not happening that stores stocking this stuff are fewer and farther between. And it isn't a retail universe like we are used to, or like we can even reference in terms of success and how far a title travels after release or anything like that. And everyone's having to adjust. And they're trying to figure out the smartest way to do this. And there are also fewer duplication facilities than there were before. Now, I will say, again, from personal experience, back when I was working with the Halloween stuff, I wanted to do a 45 one year of the Halloween theme and Lori's theme on a like collectible 45 kind of a thing. And at that point, there were almost no vinyl presses that I could find. And I was talking to this company, Rainbow Records, that used to do custom presses. And they were down to do it, but we didn't end up doing the record. But within a couple of years, they were gone. And now that's hence Ryan at TerraVision picking up his own press. He's like, I can't wait for these people to do this. And I need to make sure the quality is where it needs to be. And so, but now there's more presses than there were 10 years ago. 15 years, whenever that was, I was doing the Halloween stuff. So never say never about any of this. And even though there are fewer places doing the duplication on the Blu-rays and things like that, at this moment, you never know what might come down the road. And I think everyone is wise, especially as we're likely heading into some kind of depression here. The country, they need to be planning ahead. And figuring out the wisest way to deal with this stuff financially so they can keep releasing stuff, so they can keep feeding the audience the titles and the kind of stuff that they're really hungry for, because the appetite's not going anywhere. It's just a matter of supply and demand. And so I don't know. That's my piece on it. I wish them the best. Shout changed my life. That company.
In lots of ways.
They really did. They really did. I mean, Fangoria changed my life. And then that led to Trancas, changed my life, led to Shout, changed my life again. And if it wouldn't have been for Cliff and Jeff walking up to me at Horror Hound in Indianapolis, I think it was the show where Jamie Lee Curtis did her one convention appearance. And she was lovely to everybody and stayed way late to make sure everybody got attention and all that. Anyway, I was standing in the lobby talking with Joel Robinson, and up walked these two guys. And all I had produced at that point was Halloween 4 and 5, the commentaries on those, because Anchor Bay wanted no special features. And I'm like, no, we need to do this the right way.
Yeah.
And they also wanted to change the cover art and the font for the logos and stuff. It's hilarious what they wanted to do with that stuff. I hope someday I can show the battles that I fought on the Halloween 4 and 5 Blu-rays. And I tried to even bring Joel in for some art that didn't work. And anyway, Cliff and Jeff walk up and they go, "Hey, we love your Halloween 4 and 5 stuff. Would you like to do more of that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yes, I would. That would be great." And they hold up this sheet. They're like, "Well, we have a few titles that are in queue. Do any of these look like we're launching this thing called Scream Factory? But outside of the horror stuff, what else is there anything?" And Tank Girl was on that list. And I was like, you have no clue. At the time, I was talking with Rachel, the director of Tank Girl, about a book on it. And anyway, it's just like stars aligned for sure. And from there, it was off to the races. And it's never been the same for me since. So I owe them so much. And I wish them the best. If this is a troubling time for Shout, which I hope it isn't, then I certainly hope they survive and keep on doing what they're doing, because anyone who's in this fight is doing it for the right reasons, I think.
Yeah. Well, and the hard part is Cliff and Jeff, who's already come up multiple times during this, are no longer with Shout. Of
Right.
course, Cliff is with Arrow, bringing with him a bunch of incredible acquisitions. Arrow's been killing it, and Jeff is making really interesting
music.
Now,
His songs, I every time he releases a new one, I'm like, I love it, man. It's so great. And who would have thought? Who would have thought that Jeff would be? Oh man, I'm so happy for him, because he seems so happy doing it.
Yeah,
you just feel the joy in him in doing that. So what a great twist in the Jeff Nelson saga for him to end up doing like disco singles and stuff. Amazing.
Well, we're about to start the announcements, but before we do, there's one more thing that I got to ask about, because you just brought up Fangoria. Since the last time you were on here, the whole Paramount Scares thing has happened. It's been public, and they put out 2 of the box sets.
Right.
And you got to do all kinds of stuff to curate what was in that first thing and do your own like Fangoria release. I mean, what? That's amazing.
That credit 100% goes to Todd inside Paramount Marketing, who is a huge horror fan.
Yeah.
And when I first started working with Paramount, I really felt I was pretty certain that I was going to feel like just a number on a spreadsheet. It was the exact opposite. The team that I had was incredible. People, I'm in touch with all of them to this day. But Todd and I formed a real fast bond, because he is such a horror nut. And Paramount isn't famous for being real celebratory about their horror. If you think about the legacy of the Friday films and how they did those DVDs with the cover art with like the wrong mask and those were the worst. It's like they were just, okay, we know we can make money off this.
Yep.
But we don't want to admit that this is really what kind of kept us alive for a long time.
Yep.
Right. It's a big part of their legacy. So to find this Todd inside Marketing as such a devout lover of horror was a great joy. And he and I it was a quick bond and then a great partnership throughout that, with me and Todd and the executives in there. And so that was their baby. The whole Paramount Scream stuff, I was just sort of a cog in the wheel on it, really, for the most part. I had originally intended to be a lot more involved than I ended up being, but due to scheduling and other stuff, it just wasn't destined to be. But the Fangoria thing came around, and because of my history with the magazine, I think, ended up getting to be the guest editor for that special issue that was inside that first box set, which is a tremendous thrill. And I have it in a bagged and boarded, tucked away safely outside the confines of the box, so I can pull it out and look at it anytime. It was a real honor. But I mean, even that was, I have to say, it was like an honorary thing for the most part. I can take no credit for the majesty of that magazine or that box, because the Fangoria team killed it with that, with a combination of new and vintage articles that were in there. And then the box set itself, I mean, the marketing crew was so into the tchotchkes, the pins, the patches and stickers and all that. And it's so beautiful sitting on your shelf. The slip covers that were unique to those editions. And I think probably my biggest contribution is probably the most reviled, which is in volume 2. When people saw the lineup of films in volume 2, everybody was excited for Friday 2, because Friday the 13th Part 2 was in that box on 4K for the first time. The only way you could get it at the time. But also they put Breakdown in there,
which we get to talk about tonight too.
Which we get to talk about more. But boy, were people
it's
angry.
Not horror.
Yeah. You think people were angry about Jason's mask? I mean, you get Kurt Russell in a horror box. They're not. Well, actually, that's Kurt rules, and The Thing is great, and Big Trouble's a total masterpiece. But maybe you can ask about it later. If we're going to get into Breakdown, stop me now. Here's your chance.
We will in a little bit.
Okay, we'll talk more about Breakdown and Kurt Russell in a minute, people.
I mean, I'm sure you can't just announce it. Are they planning on continuing? Because I know a lot of people are like, when are we getting Paramount Scares 3 this year?
I really don't know. I mean, a confession on the Paramount front is that things have really changed with them too.
Yeah.
The Skydance acquisition really shifted a lot of pieces. And of course, I'm not on the inside for anything, so I don't have answers for anything. Yeah. But the last active project I did with Paramount was the one I'm proudest of, which is Bringing Out the Dead. And that is, if there was a way to go, it was that one, because, and we can talk more about that later, but yeah. So, I mean, they aren't really pushing these things. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it's definitely a different scenario in there now that the Skydance situation has happened. And in terms of my relationship with them, I'm still friends with all of them. Todd and I message all the time, and I sent him the album and whatever. I love them all dearly. But seeing the shots of the water tower being painted, they're removing the Paramount logo.
It's weird.
It's heartbreaking, man.
Yeah.
But since then, I mean, to illustrate how awesome that team is, I took my son out there to California last year, and they welcomed us onto the lot so Julian could see around. And we got the little golf cart tour and shown the secret koi pond, and he got to see all these behind the scenes things that hopefully one day he looks back on fondly. So everyone there is so amazing, and I just love them to death, and I miss working with them so much. I really do.
Well, on that note, we'll talk more about working with them after. Let's get into some of these announcements, because I'm so eager to hear you talk about some of these. We already talked about Black Phone 2, so we won't cover this too much, but of course they're doing a 4K steelbook for this. You can get this everywhere. They're claiming it's a Walmart exclusive, but a reminder that one of the other Walmart exclusives from them recently also showed up elsewhere, so the exclusive word might not mean what it used to mean. So we'll see. Decent film. We both liked it. Check it out if you're into it.
That's going to enter my winter rotation for sure.
It's deserving. Like, it's such a cold movie.
Yeah.
Such a cold movie. We talked about Deaf Crocodile earlier as well. They are putting out in November this 3-film box set of Tuvo Tullio. He is a Finnish film director. Beautiful art on this release from Mr. Sam Smith that might show up in the chat later. Love the art that they went with for this. These are great. 3 just wild films in this. We got Cross of Love, Restless Blood, and then the absolutely surreal, silly, incredible Sensuela from 1973. Lots of extras on this. We've got remaining fragments of like lost films from him that are the only bits that they could find, which is so cool that they went to do this. We've got 2 Finnish educational films from the 1940s. Who else is going to put that on these? We've got new visual essays, new commentaries. We've got a 60-page book with a bunch of different essays in it. I adore these films. Highly recommend you checking them out. Tuvo Tullio. I'm sure this is not a filmmaker that you've heard or seen much from.
No, it's new to me, but I'm absolutely intrigued. Looks great.
It is so good. And Sensuela in particular is wild. Like, there is tons of nudity. There's tons of partying. There is robot, or not, that was the wrong word, not robot, reindeer castration happening. Yep. That's the type of film.
It's the reindeer castration type of film, Ryan.
It is. And if you look at the cover,
That's
this
a
is why
type
I
of
love
film.
Do you see that in the art? This is why I love this so much. It is surrounded by black and whites, and the color imagery makes the shape of a reindeer.
Oh yeah, look at that. I love reindeer. That's good. I don't like
Check it
them
out.
being castrated though. See, I don't care for that. It sounds like Jim Wynorski's Lost Empire. Have you ever seen Lost Empire from Jim?
I have. It's nothing like that.
Okay, not well, it doesn't have reindeer having their nuts cut off, but it has everything else that Jim could possibly cram into it. And I think it's so great. It's this unsung movie. It has no distribution. I don't know what happened to it, but Wynorski got this chance to make a short story. Wynorski thought he'd have one shot at making a movie. So he's like, I'm putting everything into it. I'm pouring every single thing. There's going to be martial arts. There's going to be all this and a gorilla. We're going to put, it's amazing. It's such a great movie. And Alan Howard's score for it has been on constant rotation since Alan did a re-release on that years ago, and it's so good. So there's my plug, completely unrelated to this box set for Jim Wynorski's Lost Empire, which does not have any animal castration in it, but does have a gorilla suit and plenty of kung fu.
I need a deluxe edition of that film too.
I do too. I wanted to release that. I will start a company to release that movie.
I want to see somebody put out like loving deluxe editions of all of Jim's films.
Yeah. It's about time. Papatopoulos got it. My friend Clay Westervelt's documentary, which is fantastic.
It's such a good release.
It's so good.
All right, so that is Tulio. Check it out. Shipping near the end of November, hopefully. Next is Imprint. They announced a lot of stuff coming this month. First, January 7th, we've got The Old Dark House in 4K, and everything else in this is Blu-ray, but is a box set directed by James Whale.
So cool.
Going from 1932 to 1940. Green Hell from 1940 is the first time it's ever been on Blu-ray. And then Wives Under Suspicion from 1938 is an SD on this one. That's all that they could get for material. But again, new extras, lots of stuff coming on this. Pretty giant box set for people that love James Whale. And to get this from Imprint, this looks really, really good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I was talking about Whale in a presentation I did at a Halloween-a-Palooza festival in Iowa here a couple weeks ago. And I was doing the history of the vampire film and talking about Whale and how this guy was so veiled in mystery.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons he was at the time. And I'm so happy that he's finally seems to be getting his, not that he hasn't been celebrated for a long time. Right. I'm not saying that, but I mean, this kind of stuff speaks to the fact that people are really paying attention now and people are really dialing into his work. It's great.
Highly recommend these, especially The Old Dark House. It's probably the most recognizable one in this box set, but it's truly a masterpiece. Next up is a directed by David Lean box set. This is volume 2. They had already done one prior. This covers from 1949 to 1955. We've got The Passionate Friends. Madeline's is the first time it's been out on Blu-ray in the entire world. We got The Sound Barrier, Hobson's Choice, Summertime, and this is coming in a big hard box set like they do. You've got, again, new extras all over this thing, new audio commentaries, new appreciations, new interviews, just pretty much anything that you could want on these films that have not had great releases. So to have all this together is incredible. Are you a David Lean person at all?
I'm not well traveled with David Lean, but I'm just laughing because I'm thinking, what a great time to be a fan of film. What a great time to be a collector. It really is. Amazing.
On top of all the films, there's a bonus disc in here that has a new documentary called Before the Epic, David Lean's Little Gems, Part 2. There is a David Lean self-portrait documentary from 1971, and then 2 features, one from 1985 and 1990 on the South Bank Show. Plus, it has a 70-page booklet that's a hardcover book. Like, this is crazy. There's so much in this. It is remarkable.
They are so exhaustive with their box sets. It's almost overwhelming. Like the folk horror box, I'm still going through it. I'm still working my way through it. That was them, right?
Nope, that was Severin.
Oh, Severin. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. My bad.
If it's an exhaustive box set, it was probably Severin.
Okay.
Severin.
All right.
But I mean, Imprint has done a lot of box sets over the last couple of years. The big thing, I don't know if you've picked up any of them, but the Tales of Adventure box sets, I think they've done like 9 of them now. And each one has, I think, at least 4 films, and some of them have 5 or 6. And they're just the old adventure films that are crazy.
Love it.
Yeah. Too many. Next from Imprint is Alfred Hitchcock, The Early Years, Volume 2. This covers 1936 to 1940 and has Sabotage, Young and Innocent, The Lady Vanishes, Foreign Correspondent, and then Waltzes from Vienna from 1934 is an SD only, but it is on Blu-ray. And yeah, good looking stuff to go with that first box set that they did. Again, exhaustive special features, new commentaries, new appreciations, pretty much anything that you would want for these titles as well. And for Hitchcock fans, Imprint has been given a lot for you to appreciate lately, that's for sure.
It's nice that they aren't just relegated to those public domain.
Yeah.
That are those same transfers shuffled through multiple box sets and cheapy little bargain bin releases. It's great to see this happen.
Yeah. It is pretty impressive. I adore it. Brian says, don't worry about Waltz being an SD. It sucks at any resolution. It was pretty good. That's funny. Next up is TerrorVision again, the Basement Horror Anthology. So this is from 1989. This had originally come out from Camp Motion Pictures, and this little hint in one of their paragraphs here says that they are working with Camp Motion Pictures to bring the Once Lost film to HD for the very first time, and more coming from Camp Motion Pictures eventually from TerrorVision. The Basement Horror Anthology, is this one that you've ever seen?
I haven't. Nope. But the camp stuff I have so much of.
Yeah.
Beauty Queen Butcher was shot here in Iowa.
Yep.
That was Camp Motion Pictures.
This is a crazy release because I believe, and for TerrorVision, this is saying a lot. I believe this is the most robust release they've ever put out. All of these bonus features would take me like the next 4 minutes to go through. New interviews with all kinds of people, multiple new commentaries, multiple short films. There are multiple like old TV spots. There are like Meadowland Showcase, the Halloween Takeover from 1989, a couple other Meadowland Showcase, Horror Host TV pilots, FBI Guys episode. And then, of course, after all of that, they also have a CD of the soundtrack on this. Like, this is an absolutely astonishing release of The Basement, which the previous release of this was pretty terrible looking. And now this is going to be the best release this is ever going to get.
I remember the videotape release that they did of that kind of floating around. I remember it was always at Amoeba. They always had it on the end cap, almost like, somebody buy this, please. It's great to see this get this kind of love. I mean, any movie. And I think that they take pride in that. I know you work closely with them, but it's almost like the more obscure, like we're going to show the critics. We're going to cram this thing so full. I love it.
Well, and you worked with them as well. What are some of the titles that you worked on when you were with TerrorVision for a while?
It was the first run of them. Like, see, I should have been prepared to pull this stuff up. But I was doing Copperhead, Captives. I can't even remember them all. But I was we did Hollowgate. That was the one that I was probably had the most fun with. I've loved that movie all my life, and I still have my original videotape that I got from a video store when they went under, and I just love that movie. And it ended up being, I don't think we ever really talked about it, but it ended up being the director Ray's final interview.
Yeah,
his like maybe first and final. He was so excited to be a part of that, and his wife reached out to me a few weeks, maybe a month after it went down, and she just said that it was the greatest joy for him to have a chance to see this movie get some love. So it isn't just for the fans that these things are happening. It's also for the filmmakers, for the people who were a part of these things, that in like Ray's case, it's a bullet point on his history. Yeah. You know, he went on to do other things, and he never really became the filmmaker that he wanted to be. And so to have it celebrated, especially at that time, was just so special. But I was cutting trailers for TerrorVision, and we were doing all sorts of stuff in the beginning. It was tremendously exciting. And how aggressive Brad and Ryan were about like, we got so much great stuff here. We really want to crank this out. It's been great to see them this rise over the last year here, especially.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we've got an anime release. January 12th, we're getting a Blu-ray of Assassination Classroom, the complete series from 2013 to 2016. I'm not huge on anime. Have you seen much anime? Are you into it?
No, I haven't really seen too much, no.
I have heard this is not very good, so I won't spend much time on this. However, check it out from Crunchyroll if you're into it. I remember seeing the cover art for this and the smiley face thing everywhere for a little while, so I know at least many people were into it.
Okay, good.
Next, one that I've never seen, and I think this is one of the most divisive announcements I put out this week. Like, half the people are like, this is a pile of shit, and the other half are, this is an underrated masterpiece.
That's what you
I don't
want.
know what to believe. Exactly. It gets people talking.
You don't want the gray area.
November 10th, Blu-ray in the UK from Screenbound is the Libertine from 2004, starring Johnny Depp and John Malkovich. I gotta be honest, I don't think I'd even heard of this one.
Yeah, it passed me by as well. Another one.
There's a making of doc, some deleted scenes, and a director's commentary on this. And as far as I can tell, this has never had a US Blu-ray, so this will likely be the first English-friendly Blu-ray that you can pick up for this one.
Wow.
Screenbound kind of doing a lot of stuff lately, so it's nice to see.
Good stuff.
Next, another UK company, Dazzler Media, choosing Mary and George to put out on 4K on December 1st. They have been making some interesting choices on what to put on 4K lately. I'm glad that they have confidence in this one, but not one I ever expected on 4K. I know Julianne Moore was the big selling point for this, but I never checked this one out. Did you see this?
Nope. Is that why she's the only one with her whole face visible on the front cover?
I believe so.
That
that was likely in her contract.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, have not seen this one. Curious at the very least.
Yeah, well, she's great. She's
next
reliably
one.
Great.
She is always incredible.
Yeah.
This one I'm very excited to check out. I've been checking out some more of these smaller documentaries lately, and November 18th, Music Box is putting out a Blu-ray of Secret Mall Apartment from last year. This is about 8 Rhode Island artists who created a secret apartment inside the busy Providence Place Mall and lived there for 4 years, filming everything during their journey. They snuck in furniture, tapped into the mall's electricity, and even constructed a wall itself, smuggling in more than 2 tons of cinder blocks.
Sounds amazing. I'm in.
Yeah, I got to see this. I'm very excited for it. Music Box is kind of quietly putting out some really great stuff. I don't think there's any extras on this, but I'm just dying to see this documentary. This sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
Especially after this year's Roofman. Did you see that with Channing Tatum?
No. See, you're so up on things. I'm here with blinders on, editing and shooting all the time, and I rely on you. I rely on you and your posts to help me understand anything about the outside world. I'm like a hibernating bear that's perpetually down in my cave.
Well, if you get a chance, I suggest checking out Roofman. Roofman is about a guy, I think it was in North Carolina. He escaped from prison under a truck that he was working on in the prison, and went out and lived in a Toys R Us for like 7 or 8 months, hiding from the cops. And it's a true story. Like almost everything in the movie was based on fairly true facts.
Oh my gosh.
It was shockingly great. I definitely recommend it.
I'm going to write that down.
And Kirsten Dunst is in it. She's very good too.
What?
Roofman, all one word, Roofman.
Got it.
Next, we got Decal soon putting out a Blu-ray of this year's Bone Lake. This is one of those 2 couples book an Airbnb at the same time, and they have to figure it out. Horror movies that seem to be a thing lately, like that's a new genre. Didn't love this, but I liked it, and I kind of liked that in a wide theatrical release, this thing got a little extra sleazy in its plot. It wasn't like super nudity heavy, but the actual plot was sleazy, which kind of nice to see in 2025 when everybody's trying to go extra prude.
Yeah, bring it.
It's a good one. Check it out. Next is Coyotes, which I have not heard a single good thing about yet. This is coming on Blu-ray on November 25th from Decal as well. This is starring Justin Long, and literally about some people trapped in their house, and it gets overran by coyotes. And the CGI is supposedly just some of the worst that have come out this year. kind of curious to see this because Justin Long is like one of the best final guys in horror right now, and not even right now, for the last 20 years. And I don't know. It sounds fun, and I'm supposedly it's real bad.
All right. Well, that makes me want to see it more, honestly. So,
honestly, same. Another person that works in this industry that I appreciate a lot is Mr. Daniel Kramer, and you can now check out his newest book, which is Adventures in Auteurism, a crusade for the critically neglected. This has a long table of contents of directors that he is covering that have never gotten not even just like enough love, but in many of the cases, no love. These are directors that have been overlooked in almost every single way, and he worked on this for quite some time. Love the cover art here from Scott Saslow. I think it is very eye-catching. This is definitely one I'm going to be reading here soon. You can pick this up from the publisher, but also currently available from Amazon. And Daniel is a brilliant mind. Very curious to see how this turns out for everybody. I know this is probably a hard sell because if you are walking into this, you're not going, "Oh, I love that director," because the whole point of this is that you probably have not seen or heard of the director's name in much of anything. Yeah. So kind of very curious to see how this goes over with fans of film.
I'm so glad he did this. Daniel's great.
Yeah. He also mentioned this week he's working on another book already and another documentary that's supposed to be coming out this year, which is just insanity.
Hustle
Good job, Daniel.
Hustle it.
Yeah. Check this one out, everybody. Highly recommend checking out his reading. Mondo Macabro is having their Halloween sale here soon, and they are releasing 5 titles as part of it. We're going to be talking about 2 of them tonight and 3 of them next week, and these are all going to be on sale 1 week from today. October 30th is when the sale starts. This is going up at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern next Thursday. The first title here is a 4K release of The Devil's Nightmare. They had put this out previously, and the Blu-ray for this looked pretty poor. I think Mondo Macabro would be one of the first ones to say that. It is not one that looked great in HD, but it also wasn't a scan from the OCN, and this one is. So this is going to look leaps and bounds better than the previous release. Brand new 4K scan of the OCN, but on top of that, they're going above and beyond to make it a better release. We've got new interviews here with the star Erica Blanc and the director. We've got a visual essay here by Christoph Beer. There's all kinds of stuff in this that look great and really make it worth upgrading, even if you had the old Blu-ray. I love Mondo Macabro. Are they a company that you've been deep into ever?
I became obsessed with them many years ago with
Nice.
And the movie that really did it for me was Lady Terminator.
It's so good.
And every time they make these, and I'm so glad they're still around, and I'm so glad that they're continuing to, they're upscaling this stuff. Great, not upscale, but the fact that they're giving new love to these and putting them in proper packages with new special features, because a lot of their stuff just was languishing on DVD for so long. And there was this list of titles that I'm like, but at the top of it every time. And every time I see their name pop up and they're making some announcement, I'm like, it's got to be Lady T. Give Lady Terminator a 4K release. Even Blu-ray would make me so happy. But they are the only ones who would do that. And I was so obsessed with Lady Terminator after discovering it. My friend Jake got a copy of it. And we used to do movie nights over at his old place where he had like a movie room. And he's like, you got to see this. Put it in. Blew my mind. I talk about it all the time on like panels and stuff. I love that movie. And then I tracked down Barbara Ann Constable, the gal who plays Lady Terminator in the film, and interviewed her for Fangoria years ago. And she was so surprised when I called. She's like, is that out? Is that on video? And I'm like, yeah, it's on DVD. She's like, I didn't think anybody. It was a great conversation in the end, and really wonderful issue of Fango that was in. But one of my proudest and most excited moments was getting Barbara Ann on the phone and talking about that, all because of Mondo. And Mondo is the only one who would touch a lot of what they have in their catalog, and I just adore them.
Brian shares the saddening news. He says, my understanding is there are no elements for Lady Terminator, just that one print. However, they have seemed to have said that they are hitting multiple roadblocks. So it seems like they're trying to get there.
Mm,
I'm not sure if there's ever a way to get there, but
yeah.
I'll share the same hope that every time they start announcing stuff, I am dying for an upgrade to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cannot wait.
And go Mondo.
Yes. God, Mondo Macabro is always incredible. Next, we were talking about Dan Curtis before, and we got some details on the newest one. This is coming on December 9th. This is going to be number 42 in the Kino cult line, and it is Dan Curtis's Gothic Tales from 1973 to 74. We've got introductions here by Jeff Thompson. We've got audio commentaries by David Del Val, Anthony Slide, and then the Turn of the Screw promotional short featuring interviews with Dan Curtis and Lynn Redgrave. I love that they're putting this work into these.
Yeah. And I love that they're making them consistent even visually, that it's creating a collection corner for people who love this stuff. And that Dan Curtis's films are finally getting, I mean, everyone knows him for The Other Thing.
Yeah.
There's all this too. And I think it's just awesome that Kino is giving these the love and bringing on like David Del Val's always so great.
Yeah.
So a consistent voice over these different releases. I think that's important too. I did that with Nat Bremer on the Umbrella, all of the Full Moon Umbrella stuff. I wanted Nat's voice throughout because like he's the authority, he's the historian. And so this kind of approach, it just shows that Kino's really putting love into it.
Yep. I appreciate them for this. The made for TV stuff always overlooked. So the fact that we're getting it is a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. So December 30th, we can finally get Breakdown on 4K outside of the Paramount Scares box set. This is from Volume 2.
Yep.
I think this had been released on its own in the UK already, right?
It has.
Okay, so if you imported it, you could have got it before. But now, in the US, you can get this on 4K on December 30th on its own thing. Tell us about putting this together and the special features that are on here, because it's all you.
It was the greatest. It was so amazing to get. Well, Jonathan Mostow, the director, was... Yeah, I agree. Did someone just say Dark Shadows should be on Blu-ray? But
could you imagine a Dark Shadows Blu-ray box set? How many discs would that be?
My question is, can you imagine the expense to do new transfers on all those that they struggled with even before? And they look so weird in that chubby coffin that they sell them in. Like, they think that's going to look cool on the shelf, but it's like, is that Peter Griffin's coffin? What is happening over there? But anyway, Breakdown. I love this movie. I really think this is one of the best Kurt Russell movies, period, and one of the best kind of action dramas of the era of its era.
Yep.
Kathleen Quinlan is everybody, JT Walsh, everybody's so good in this movie, but it's not one because it's kind of overshadowed in the Russell verse. You can use that
trademark. Nobody else.
You can have that, right? But within Kurt's catalog, this isn't one that I think a lot of people talk about, but when I talk to filmmakers, people love this film. And getting to meet director Jonathan Mostow, who is so wonderful to deal with and very open about the whole process. I did a new interview with him, and then I brought him and Kurt together for audio commentary, which was a total thrill. I mean, like Kurt Russell showing up in the Paramount lot, and it's like, I don't know, Elvis is in the building. And he played Elvis, right? For John Carpenter, of all people. But it's like, Russell's here. And like, the bird has landed. And everybody was so jazzed for him to walk in there. I love his commentaries, just full stop. But also the Carpenter Russell commentaries, everyone knows, are so magical. But everyone's like, oh, it's just their magic.
Yeah.
Mostow was a kind of a buttoned up guy. He's sweet. He's so sincere, but he's not a real jokester, I guess I'd say. But when Kurt walked in the room and they're sitting by each other, it just became laughs and great stories and wonderful reveals about the whole thing. Kurt clearly hadn't seen the movie in a very long time. And he's like, what am I doing? He's talking to the screen and making Jonathan laugh. It was magical to have them doing that together. And then one of the great honors of this one was getting Dino De Laurentiis's widow, Martha De Laurentiis, in to do an interview. And she really it brought a perspective to the table that I think without Dino's presence would have been literally impossible. And I've ended up working on a bunch of Dino De Laurentiis films over the last like 5 years, like King Kong 76. I mean, it's like, I think there's probably like 6 of them that I've done over that span. And so to have Martha come in and do that was so great. And she was amazing. And then she sadly passed away just a couple months later. And it was so unexpected. And, but we have her here, right? Like, I don't know that she's on any other release, but we were lucky enough to bring her in for this. And then the great find, Imprint had done I think it was a Blu-ray of Breakdown that landed a few months, I think, even before ours did, from Paramount. And there was talk of the alternate opening sequence on theirs, but all they had were like grainy screen caps of it. And I had the benefit, again, no magic on my part. I had the benefit of the amazing Paramount archive team who were always down for the hunt. Like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's on our sheet. We're going to go look. We will open the vault. We will literally go and dig. And I found that over and over with them the whole time. And that was one of the greatest joys of being part of that whole operation. Was the archive team were just warriors for the cause of preservation of this stuff. And so there was this alternate opening that the studio ultimately wanted Jonathan to shoot to spice up the beginning of the movie. We now look at that opening with the car in the desert, how the titles interplay with the shots and the road, and it's just so perfect. And you think, God, how could this who would need to do something different with this? Well, what they wanted to do was Kurt Russell with a camera on his shoulder in this village where these women are being shot. And it's just pure insanity. Like, it starts off like a trauma movie almost. And Mostow hated it. But of course, he told me he hated it during the interview. And I'm like, let's see if this exists. And then I go to the archive team, and in short order, they're like, yeah, we have everything. It's all here. And so it took some discussion with Jonathan. And he's like, well, if we can present it where I can talk about it, like do a commentary over it, we can do this. And I'm like, cool. All right. Paramount team was all like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Safe. And so we did it. We got to present it. And there is an option to turn Jonathan's commentary on to hear him explain what they did, but also kind of why he didn't think it fit. And I think everyone will agree with him on that for sure. But one of the greatest releases of one of the best movies of that era, and certainly like Kurt Russell's whole catalog. Kathleen Quinlan, I had interviewed her on Twilight Zone years prior for Famous Monsters magazine, which I was nerding out about because I'm a big Doors fan. And being in the Doors, and I was, oh man, this is amazing. And that same feeling was back again in getting a chance to talk to her on Breakdown. So the whole thing, just a thrill. And it was done at the height of COVID. This was like the heart of when we couldn't really be in the same room. And even though Jonathan and Kurt were in the same room, they were on opposite ends of like a row of theater seats with one of those air purifier things, the big industrial ones in between them, silently chugging away to keep the air clean in the room. But it all worked out, and it was an honor to be part of.
Incredible. I mean, this is one of those titles that for the longest time was not very easy to see. It's the same, and you've done many of those that were not necessarily lost films, but they were films that people knew it had a reputation. People wanted to see them, and you got to be a part of getting it back out of the zeitgeist, which has to be just an incredible feeling.
Oh, it doesn't even seem real, for real.
All right, that is Breakdown, December 30th. Next up, one equal quality as Breakdown, maybe, we'll see. December 1st, a 4K is coming in the UK from Dazzler Media, also coming on Blu-ray, of The Creeps from 2025. When your top billed actor in your film is Joe Dante.
I was wondering why his name was up there. When I saw that cover, I was like, "Oi!" And I'm like, "Wait, Joe Dante, director Chris Lambert Bert in a snowman movie? What is this?
Yeah. Watch the trailer for this. You probably will not feel the urge to buy this, but it's happening.
There it is, right there. That's
Next, Oscilloscope, company that I love. They're putting out a Blu-ray of this film that I don't know how to pronounce the title. Cineave? That's wrong. I don't know. This is from last year. This is coming out on Blu-ray and DVD, like I said. This says the highs and lows of a restless youth collide headlong into the concrete realities of adulthood when Leonardo, a teenager from Palermo, leaves home for the first time. His studies land him in Siena by way of London, where he clashes with his instructor, the curriculum, and most chaotically with himself. This is produced by Luca Guadagnino, who just released a film that seems like the whole world hates right now. This has deleted scenes in the trailer on the disc, and I will hopefully be getting this as part of my subscription here soon. Love Oscilloscope, love what they do. Any thoughts from you?
No. Go Oscilloscope. I like what they're doing as well. I don't know anything about this one. But...
yeah, this has to be like a small festival film. I never heard of this at all.
Yeah.
Criterion just had a flash sale, but it's pointless because it's over, so we'll gloss right over that. I love this next set of announcements. So Kino had announced previously, and not too long ago, this is one of those ones that had a fairly quick turnaround. Thank you, Kino. We do love to see the quick turnaround of the Pink Panther films. These are coming to 4K and Blu-ray here in the US all on December 16th, and we're going to cover all 4. However, before you start asking, they are putting out a box set of all of these, plus Return of the Pink Panther, all together, all on 4K in 2026. They're just letting them live and breathe on their own as single releases first. So if you want to be patient, you can pick up a box set all next year of all 5 of the films. As far as extras, they got all kinds of extras on these. How many of them are new? I count 0 of them as being new. However, it's just really great to see them in print again, and not to mention, these will absolutely look really good in 4K. Are you a Pink Panther fan? Have you ever checked out any of these?
I was so disappointed when I was a kid and heard that there was a Pink Panther movie, because Pink Panther, when I was a kid, sold insulation.
Yep.
That was the extent of the understanding of Pink Panther. And then I saw the art for this, and I'm like, well, this looks like something with the Pink Panther in it. Nope. So
quite different.
I don't know. I need to revisit them, I guess. I've seen the first one, but I know that they are revered, and it's great that once again Kino is swinging into the rescue of some underserved titles.
So this is the first one, of course. This is from 1963. The second film is A Shot in the Dark. This is the one I remember truly loving. I think this is the funniest of all of them, if I remember right. And we're talking like slapstick comedy, like really great classic Peter Sellers. I have not seen this in ages, but I am eager to see it again. Again, they're carrying over all kinds of extras from the previous releases. We've got audio commentaries, we've got featurettes, we've got interviews. They look like great releases. The third one, of course, is The Pink Panther Strikes Again. This is 1976. Reversible art on all of these as well, which is pretty neat from Kino. Love that they're doing those. Again, all kinds of old extras on these. And then the final one, Revenge of the Pink Panther from 1978. Not as many extras on this one. There just wasn't as much on the previous releases, but it does have an audio commentary, has some TV spots and stuff like that. Yeah, December 16th, going to be a busy day if you love the Pink Panther. Full Moon, who Justin has worked on many things related to Full Moon. They are currently running their Halloween sale, up to 50% off site-wide. And a cool thing that they don't always do, if you spend a certain thresholds, you get some free gifts. If you spend $100, you get 2 of their tiny tears. If you spend $200, you get a plush doll set. You spend $400, you get a full bobblehead collection. And if you spend $500, you get a baby Oopsie full-on replica. Now, all of these have to be in one single purchase, so it's not combining if you buy multiple things. If you want to go for the free thing, make sure you get it all at once. My link for the sale, if you want to check that out in another tab, is in the chat there. Full Moon, what are some of your highest recommendations from Full Moon's catalog there, Justin?
Well, I remember when Full Moon was doing, they were trying to push people for their online streaming thing.
Yep.
And it would be like, if you subscribe for a month, and you can get like $100 in free DVDs and
Yep.
Blu-rays. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
My buddy Greg Morgan from Land of the Creeps, I remember him calling me up one day and he's like, "It's real. I did it." And the disc showed up. There wasn't like a cancellation notice. I didn't have to subscribe for a whole year or something. It was just insane how they were just shoveling stuff out with this perpetual sale at that point of that stuff. But I have so much admiration for Charlie, and he, as John Carpenter said years ago to me, when I did this sort of stream of consciousness career spanning discussion with him for the Fangoria Legends magazine, I would just say a name or a place or a film title or whatever, and then he would just tell me the first thing that came to his mind. And I said, Charlie Band. And John goes, "When the apocalypse happens, there will be two things left on this earth. There will be cockroaches and there will be Charlie Band." And I don't think
money from the cockroaches.
And I don't think he was comparing Charlie to a cockroach necessarily, although I don't want to speak for John, but his endurance is just remarkable. Yeah. And getting the chance to work on all this Full Moon stuff through Umbrella has been a blast. And so many of the people that I'm tapping on the shoulder to come in for interviews are like, "I cannot believe this is getting re-released. I can't believe people still care about it." And I hear that all the time about a lot of titles. Yeah. But with the Full Moon stuff, it's just remarkable how he keeps doing his thing and how consistent he is with his focus on small things. And his love for dolls, I think, is worth applauding. I don't know. I where do I start with the Full Moon catalog? I would point to early movies. I would point to his early stuff. Like I just finished working on Tourist Trap, for example. That movie. I think that one is a real big standout, especially in the earlier catalog for what Charlie was doing, although it's not Full Moon proper. Right. It's Charlie Band production. There are spikes in every, if you want to say decade, or maybe even break it down by like genre run or subgenre run, there's spikes of good stuff in there throughout. And I think Tourist Trap was an early, whoa. You got Ted Nicolau, you got David Schmoller, I mean, Chuck Connors. For that booklet,
incredible in that.
For the booklet, I did this exhaustive essay on Chuck because I love him so much. He's one of my favorite all-time actors. And I'm like, when else am I going to get the chance to talk about Chuck? And so I did an entire like life story of Chuck Connors for that booklet. And it turned out really a loving tribute to the guy. But anyway, the Full Moon catalog, I mean, can't say I'm down with Gingerweed Man and whatever, all the stuff, but I do like a lot of it, and especially the early things. And I will always admire the audacity. And it must be said, when I did the first Full Moon box set for Umbrella, the one special feature, and the thing that I applaud Charlie the most for, I had to do something on the video zones. For those who might not remember, at the end of Full Moon videotapes back in the day, you'd finish watching the film, you let it keep running, and there's a video magazine, I guess you'd call it, that would be at the end of the movie talking about the movie you just saw. So like the making of the movie you just saw, and then teasers and behind the scenes for upcoming films. Yep. And it was revolutionary because the Laserdisc really ultimately gave way to the special feature, I think, being tethered to these movies in the first place. But Charlie, through his partnership with Paramount and their checkbook, until it wasn't, Charlie, to his credit, came up with this idea to offer people so much more. And watching through those video zones, even the ads that he had on there for the merch, this stuff is nothing new, what you have up here on the screen, like dolls and toys and whatever else. He's been doing that from the very beginning. He's always been a big picture guy who does some pretty inventive and absolutely bold things with what he's doing, and unapologetically. So I'm always going to applaud that.
I've always loved Tourist Trap. I'm glad you brought that one up. And then the other one that I always champion that I feel like most people have heard of but never seen, Castle Freak, is still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I adore that movie.
Oh, it's great. And the effects are so good in that too.
Yep.
Everybody's great in that film and making good use of that castle. I mean, everything I've touched that's from Full Moon, there was the filmmakers that he was often bringing in were approaching this with such sincerity.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch through the special features on those first two Full Moon box sets from Umbrella, you really start to understand the universe of Charlie Band beyond just the sort of marketing guy and the whatever else. Like, there was an objective, however accidental or intentional, to bring fresh talent in over and over and over again. And those films also became it was kind of like the incubator for a lot of special effects artists.
Yeah.
It's like what Roger Corman did with, he brings someone in. Yeah, well, maybe you're not ready to direct yet. Start cutting trailers for me. And then let's talk in 6 months. Yep. And then we look at the lineup of filmmakers from that school. And
speaking of Joe Dante.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not as celebrated, but I do think it's worth it's worth acknowledging that Charlie Band was very similar in his sort of talent factory, where he would hire people who other studios might not, and ended up giving them some opportunities that absolutely blossomed in a lot of cases. So hats off to him and what he does.
Next up, speaking of Umbrella, got their brand new announcements. February 4th, we got a 4K from them coming of Sion Sono's Suicide Club from 2001. This has some new extras. We got a new audio commentary by Ariel Shudson. We've got a new Suicide Club with special effects guru Yoshihiro Nishimura. There's Just Desserts, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Suicide Club with Alexander Heller Nicholas. Looks like an incredible special edition of this. I will say there is a 4K of this that came out from, I want to say, in France or Germany or somebody like that. And this is likely going to be the same scan of that 4K because I believe the elements are gone for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing did not get great reviews. However, if you love this movie, this is probably going to be the best packaging this will get. This will probably be the best special features this gets. This will probably be the be-all, end-all of this film. And if you already have the Discotheque Blu-ray, just take that Blu-ray, and if you want this, put it in the case with this, and you got pretty much a definitive release of Suicide Club.
I love that movie, and I wish I would have been on that release through Umbrella. Yeah. It's so good. I still have my old DVD. I have not gotten those other releases of it, so this will be great for me. New for me.
Absolutely. Next up is one that they've been hyping up through their social media for quite some time. Lesbian Space Princess from this year, which I believe is a animated film. All kinds of extras on here because this is one that they produced from the ground up. They're selling a sexy bitch sweatshirt as part of the package.
I was laughing at it. I love it.
I love Umbrella getting interesting with all of these releases and just doing what they can. This looks like a completely loaded release for something that usually would not get even a small release, and this is huge for this. Blu-ray released on January 14th. Looks fun.
Yeah.
Next up, this one is February 4th, Blu-ray release of The Horseman from 2008. I have always heard this is great and have somehow always passed by it. I need to see this one. You get the collector's edition, and as usual, you get a big 48-page book and all kinds of custom art cards and posters and slip case and numbered everything. New audio commentary with Alexei Taliopoulos, that maybe, and Blake Howard. And then there is going to be The Horseman in the Australian noir genre with the screenwriter and author Maria Lewis. Making of The Horseman, director's cut remaster, new director's cut trailer, and then all kinds of archival extras with this one. Pretty loaded. Have you seen this one?
Yes, it's excellent. And this, from what I understand, this is the transfer on this is outstanding. And so I cannot wait to get my hands on this one. It's a great movie.
I need to get it. I've heard it's stupendous, and already some good comments in the chat. Had the original Umbrella DVD. Nice. Next up from them is The Innkeepers. This is coming on Blu-ray on February 4th, and this already has a 4K release. So Umbrella just probably thinking they're not going to be able to sell a ton of these. 4K is going to be expensive to invest if you're not going to sell a ton of them. So you can get a special edition of this, and it looks like a really fun release. You get a new audio commentary with Alexander Heller Nicholas, who is on seemingly like 40 new releases a week, so not surprised there. And then Martin Quintero on The Innkeepers is doing a visual essay, and then another handful of archival extras. I love Ty West. Are you a Ty West person?
Ty West is
okay to say no.
Ty West is good. He's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan, but I do want to speak here to the Blu-ray 4K thing. That there are occasions, and I'm not saying that is the case with this because it's not something that they've discussed with me, but there are cases where the license for a 4K release may already be spoken for. So it's not always possible. And then also, if there's an element issue, if there's something where they can't get to the point to justify the 4K in terms of available materials, this goes for all distributors, all labels, that it just doesn't make sense just to upscale something. And so in that kind of a case, I don't know what the deal is with Innkeepers, but
I don't think this was even shot on film. And to be honest, a lot of like the early digital from 2004 to like 2013, a lot of those, you got to question if a 4K is going to do anything.
Right.
Literally, not even just, hey, the colors will be nicer. Like, will it actually improve anything to put this on 4K instead of Blu-ray? In many cases, it really will not.
Sure. Yeah.
So that is The Innkeepers from 2011. And then next up, I am so keen to see this one. This is already the second release announcement of this too. February 4th, they're putting out Chain Reactions from 2024. We were talking about Alexander Heller Nicholas. She is heavily featured in this film itself. This is a documentary about the impact of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which by far one of the most impactful horror films of all time. This release is going to have an audio commentary with the director, discussion with the director, and with Alexander Heller Nicholas. I have not been able to see this one yet. Have you been able to see this? Probably not.
I saw part of it because I went to the anniversary theatrical re-release of Chainsaw. It was like maybe 1 or 2 days or something on the anniversary of the film, and they showed after Chainsaw was done, this like a portion of this played, and so I did get to see some of it, and I'm always down for more Chainsaw. I've been so happy to see the 4K re-releases that Arrow's been doing too, of the Arlie Ermy films. I love the second one in particular. I think Beginning is I mean they're both good, but I think the Beginning is even better than the first one there. Anyway, more Chainsaw the better, says I. And there can't be enough exploration. And there's some great documentaries, vintage documentaries on the film already that are pretty incredible. But why not?
For those that have not heard about this one yet, so this is a documentary built on the reactions from these names on here is crazy.
I know.
Stephen King, Patton Oswalt, Corinne Kusama, Takashi Miike, and Alexander Heller Nicholas. Like, all corners of the film industry in different ways, all like different age groups, different types of filmmakers, all coming together to talk about how it impacted them. Yeah, I got to see this. This looks just...
The first voice you hear in the film is Patton Oswalt. And I'm sitting there going, wait, what? What is happening here? I mean, it was really like, okay, this is interesting, because you think about comedians and their dark side, and we're all inspired by such a array of things. Why not bring him in here? And it was really, it starts with a clip of him on like Letterman or something like that, or maybe Conan O'Brien, and he brings Chainsaw up of all movies as like his favorite film of all time. And I was like, wow, he is a lover of this movie. That's like when I did Bad News Bears for Paramount, and Kevin Smith wanted to be on the disc talking about Bad News Bears because it was the movie that made him want to be a filmmaker. And he's crying to me during the interview and stuff. I mean, it was remarkable. So when these folks who have made it reach out to continue paying it back to the source that led them to whatever they're doing, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, I'm so stoked that they I mean, just the passion that it screams off the screen for this. I can't wait. Next up is Eureka. Gosh, that means the rest of all these were just today announced. So we got a lot to cover. January 26th in the UK, there's a Blu-ray coming, double feature of Kiyoshi Kurosawa films. We've got Charisma, which is from 1999, and that is paired up with Cloud, which is the brand new film that's out. Original release was last year. It's on the Criterion channel right now. Heard incredible things about Cloud. We'll be watching that one soon myself. We got a limited edition booklet in this one with writing. There is going to be new commentaries on both films by Jonathan Root. There's going to be a new visual essay on the work of Kiyoshi Kurosawa by Joe Hinkenbottom. But the big thing is this limited edition will include Cloud. The future standard release will not. So if you want Cloud as part of the release, you got to pick it up as part of those first 2,000 copies. Have you seen Cloud, or are you this Kurosawa type of person?
I'm not familiar with this Kurosawa. No.
He's have you ever seen Cure? That's his most famous film from was it 97, I think. Big like psychological horror film.
Okay.
It's got a big fan base. Check it out.
Great.
I'm eager to see Charisma. I've heard good things. This one, I'm sure you got some stuff to say about. 1981's Full Moon High, directed by Larry Cohen, coming on Blu-ray in the UK on January 19th. This is a horror comedy film that came out right before Teen Wolf. This is a loving tribute to teenage monster movies of the 1950s. You've got, let's see, limited edition booklet with new writing by Craig Ian Mann. We've got a new commentary by Steve Mitchell, archival commentary with Larry Cohen himself, new visual essay on the history and evolution of the teenage werewolf films by Kaja Frank, the author of The Ego-Gothic Werewolf in Literature. Love that. New interview with Michael Doyle. Have you seen Full Moon High?
I have not. I'm going to bring up another thing here, though, that I think that there was a show called Big Wolf on Campus that was on in the 2000s, and it was a Canadian production. I love that show so much, and I don't know that it's ever gotten any kind of physical release anywhere, so I'm glad this is happening. Maybe it's going to open the door for Big Wolf on Campus to finally get a proper release. That's all.
Get the world excited about werewolf things. And
let's talk werewolves. Teen werewolves. Let's do it.
Yep. Next, January 26th in the UK, January 27th in North America on Blu-ray is Stephen Chow's King of the Beggars from 1992, or King of Beggars. This one is going to have brand new writing on King of Beggars and the director Gordon Chan by Andy Willis. There's going to be new audio commentary with Frank Jang, new interview with the director Gordon Chan, new visual essay by Gary Bettinson. Are you much of a martial arts person? I don't think I've seen you talk about these.
No, not really. I did some work on I had to redo the audio on a martial arts film when I was with TerraVision, which was a logistical minefield.
It was a nightmare on that one.
That's what I have to say about that. But it worked out in the end. But having to mix every it's a challenge when you've got a good 90 minutes of that to go through. But no, I mean, I like weird the stranger the better. Like I like Mr. Vampire end of things in terms of martial arts. I like The Bride with White Hair a lot.
Good one.
That's one of my favorites. But I'm definitely not like a studied scholar on that.
Speaking of films with bad 4Ks and good Blu-rays, The Bride with White Hair got a 4K and it's not good. Check out the Blu-ray if you want that one. Yeah.
So hold on to my discs, huh?
Hold on to it.
All right. That happened with Island of Lost Souls. Do you remember how terrible the Criterion Island of Lost Souls was?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how awful that looked.
Yep. That seems to be something that some of these get real bad reputations, and then everybody says, "Yep, don't buy that one."
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Next, December 9th, Sony, as a part of their Sony Pictures Classics line, is putting out last year's I'm Still Here, which I ashamedly have still not seen. I've heard this is incredible. It went by me. I need to watch it still. Heard it's amazing. This is a big breakout for Fernanda Torres. She's supposedly incredible in this. Yeah, I need to see this. The next release is probably one that we can both speak on. Hearts of Darkness from 91, getting a 4K release here in the U.S. from Lionsgate. This isn't too big of a surprise. Studio Canal just put this out in like one of their fancy giant box sets in the UK. However, this release, I got to ask, what is up with the Coppola armpit sniffing cover art that we went with.
So bizarre. When I first saw it, I thought it was someone was making fun of it somehow and like had thrown that on there. That's so weird.
Yeah, I don't get this. And I still think it's wild that a film that was essentially a special feature for years is now getting standalone 4K releases.
Hey,
obviously, it's great.
That gives hope to us all.
It does. It truly does.
Anyway. These things live and die. They live on islands usually. And it's always exciting, I will say, as a producer, to see when something carries forward to another release with some other company. I mean, I don't benefit from it, but the legacy of the film, the stories that were told, those voices move on with it. And that's how it should be. That's really how
I've already seen that and been blown away that, a special feature that we worked on is going to be on disc in Germany just because some other company licensed it. Wild. Like, okay.
It's amazing.
December 8th, over in the UK, 101 Films, speaking of Full Moon, is putting out Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-orama. This is a title that a lot of UK people have wanted for quite some time, and what I think is hilarious is recently a sequel came out to this, full sequel to this, and it's so bad that it is included as a special feature and did not get billing as part of the release whatsoever. That is from 2022, and yes, you can get that as part of this package.
Oh, that has my special features on it. Yeah, see, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's the stuff from the those are my features. I hadn't seen this. That's interesting. Well, thanks. That's all the stuff I did for the Full Moon box set release of Sorority Babes is on there.
So tell us about it. What did you get to do?
Brink Stevens, the Nat. I got Nat on there with his commentary. We did. Oh, in the booklet has a whole bunch of great stuff in it. So I mean, it's the new stuff is Cerebral Scream Queen. That's mine. Sorority Babes 2 was not on ours. I don't think that worked out for our release. So it's basically the commentary, the Brink Stevens thing, and then the booklet. And I think the Umbrella release may have had a couple more features on it. But anyway, it's nice to see it move on. And like we were saying.
Good release. I believe, like I said, I think this is the first UK release, at least in HD, of this film, and it's fun. I think the hard part for this movie is everybody sees the poster that's pretty iconic for this and goes, "Yeah, like we got 3 Scream Queens. This is gonna be sleazy," and then it's a pretty tame film overall.
Well, the beginning isn't.
Yeah,
has some, but yeah, I love this movie.
It's
really
so
love
fun.
it. Yeah,
it's so 80s soaked in neon and just incredible.
Yeah.
Cineverse is putting out Bleeding from this year on Blu-ray on November 4th. This is going to have an audio commentary, some auditions footage, festival trailer, and a short film included with this. This was a Screambox film, and Bloody Disgusting has helped putting this out through Cineverse. I, again, just will always be happy to see streaming titles come out on disc for something like this, because this could have just lived on Screambox forever and not gone anywhere else. So it's a win.
It is. There's so much that's being left into the in the void in terms of things that were made for Amazon and for Netflix, and it's a real shame. There's a Chainsaw Massacre movie that doesn't have a legitimate physical release. Do you think fans aren't going to want that? I worked on a few titles for Paramount and Blumhouse that were really great films. One of them called The Passenger with Kyle Gallner. Kyle is just outstanding in that movie.
I've got a bootleg of it right over there.
So do I. And I made this. It was amazing projects to be part of, and I'm so proud of the documentaries. And to his credit, Kyle is. I never hear from people usually, especially when there's like an EPK team that I'm running and they're shooting stuff, and I'm not actually on set, but I'm cutting. And but they had to send for approval to the people who were in the film on the documentary, and Kyle wrote to me and he's like, "Hey man, I never see these actually happen. There's always crews around, but I never see the result of it." And he was so happy about how the documentary ended out. And now, Ryan, it's invisible. It's nowhere. It was supposed to live with the film wherever it was on Apple or whatever the hell else. It's like it never existed in the first place. And those movies too, they're very hard to find. And the documentaries I did on these things are just dead, and that's heartbreaking.
You got a private link for that doc you can share? I would love to see it.
Talk to me after the show.
Will do. Next up, we talked about Mondo Macabro's second title is a double feature of Mystics in Bali and Queens of Black Magic.
So excited for this.
Two films that had previous releases from Mondo on DVD that, again, they weren't terrible DVDs necessarily, but they weren't great, and everybody loves these films. So to see them get an HD release is just fantastic. They are both getting their own disc in this, and they're both going to look just incredible. Jared was already telling me the scans on these are older, but if you ever saw the release of The Warrior that came out, I think that was last year, that was a 20-year-old HD scan that they put on disc, and it still looks like it was just done. It's that good of a scan on it, and they're doing the same thing with these. They supposedly look amazing. This is going to be a 2-disc set with an exclusive slipcover and a reversible inner sleeve. You've got all kinds of extras on here. Introductions to both films by Joko Anwar, another great Indonesian filmmaker that's been, you've probably seen at least one of his films on Shudder. Visual essay called Monsters, Movies, and Myth by Jake Gallo. Extended 2-hour version of Mystics in Bali, which is going to have, I think it's SD cut-ins from like the only like tape master that exists of that, but at least you'll be able to have it if you want. I love both of these movies.
I do too.
Great stuff from Mondo. Colton says, I'm excited every time I add a Susanna film to my shelf, and you should be. Absolutely. What a way to follow that. Popeye the Slayer, man, coming to Blu-ray now. This is now available in the U.S. from somebody called Vantage Media. Not sure who those guys are. We get a trailer, featurette, commentary track, and a music video. But hey, this exists on HD here in the U.S.
All right. I haven't seen it.
I love that the catchphrase on the front is, "He is what he is."
You love that?
Just classic Popeye. I am what I am.
It is.
They're trying to make it intimidating, and he is what he is what they chose to go with.
Right.
It's just not intimidating. I've also heard this one is incredible. Goldwyn Films putting out The Count of Monte Cristo from last year on 4K here in the U.S. on November 11th. No word on extras or Dolby Vision or anything like that, but it's getting a 4K. Supposedly this movie is beautiful. I know that everybody loves the old Jim Caviezel Count of Monte Cristo. If you watch the trailer for this, it looks almost like a shot for shot. Like it is beautifully shot like that. This, to me, seems like it's quite worth looking out for. Wow. Wellgo USA putting out The Mannequin on October 28th on Blu-ray and DVD here in the US. This sounds very odd. It says, when an aspiring fashion designer mysteriously dies alone, most people accept it as a tragic suicide. Her sister remains unconvinced and returns to the historic building to investigate, but unsettling paranormal experiences quickly escalate. Liana discovers this Los Angeles site holds a terrible secret. It is haunted by a killer who brutally murdered and dismembered his victims decades ago. She and her friends must escape the ghost's deadly grasp before they lose their own limbs and lives. This is a wild cover on this.
Yeah, it's striking. I saw it today for the first time, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?"
I appreciate Wellgo USA for getting releases for so many films that would not get any releases at all. Have you checked out anything from them, or are you keeping up with any of the stuff that they're doing?
I haven't. No. I mean, I may have something, but I certainly have not been keeping up on their catalog or anything like that. They have a weird name.
They do. They're an interesting company. I mean,
didn't they do the Phantasm stuff? They did the Phantasm, didn't
they did. I think just the first one, or did they do the box?
I thought they did the
back in the
ball
day
box that had the.
They did. That's right. And then they did, I think, just the first one on 4K after that. Maybe
that's when they landed on my radar, was with that. So that may be the only thing I have from them. Might be, but yeah.
And that's the thing. They focus like 92% of their output is really great modern Asian cinema, and then the rest is Phantasm or The Mannequin. Like so many of this is just odd mixture in the rest of this pretty prestige catalog and what they're doing.
Well, maybe that tells us we can trust in checking this out. I mean,
that's true. Not? Well, speaking of prestige, 1995's Babe coming on 4K on December 16th from Kino Lorber. That was said without any sort of irony. I love this movie. New audio commentary by Julie Krugo and Peter Hinkoff on this. There is also a brand new interview with James Cromwell on this disc from 2025, brand new interview.
Yeah.
And it's 18 minutes long. Like, that is incredible. There's also a new interview with George Miller. Kino does not put a ton of effort into some discs,
Right.
but the fact that they went out and got 2 brand new interviews with 2 people that, let's be honest, probably won't be around all that much longer for either of them. I love that they did it, and I love that they did it for Babe. Like, this was a huge thing, and the next one that we're about to talk about was a huge thing on top of this huge thing. But 1995's Babe, and then on the same day, 1998's Babe, Pig in the City, also getting a 4K.
Babe Takes Manhattan.
Another new interview with George Miller on this one. Another new commentary. Do you have nostalgia for these? Were these ones that you loved?
I remember seeing the first one in the theater with my brother, and I liked it. It's cute.
It is. It's worth checking out. The second one gets pretty dark too. I love that it's a fun movie, and it's
Is it
good.
like Vice Squad? Tell me how dark it gets, Ryan.
It gets a little more real. We'll say that.
Okay.
Other than CGI talking pigs.
All right.
Then they're doing a double feature, both of them on Blu-ray. No word if they're doing a 4K double feature yet, but you can get them both on standalone 4K, which is nice. New interviews, pretty good stuff. Yeah. That's it for the week. Next week, just in case you forgot, these are the titles that are coming out. I believe there's a couple at least in here that you've worked on, so shout them out when we get to them. Running through them real quick. In the Mouth of Madness 4K from Arrow, the Resurrected 4K from VS getting its release. I will not mention the VS stuff because a lot of that stuff we already know about is already shipped to most people. Edward Scissorhands 4K from Disney coming in a steelbook. Miss 45 4K from Arrow.
45 so much.
It's such a good movie. Nightmare Alley 4K, the updated noir version from Guillermo del Toro for Criterion. The Shin Godzilla 4K releases are going to be shipping suddenly. We got Arcane Season 2, Chinese Ghost Story Trilogy from Shout next week. Death Wish 3 on 4K from Kino. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is getting its Terror Time version release. The Saw 2 Steelbook is delayed till November, but that'll be coming soon. Dust Devil 4K from Kino. We've got the Dan Curtis's Classic Monsters for next week. Trick or Treat Steelbook from Arrow. Brand new Toxic Avenger 4K Steelbook. This is the one that our special feature is on for Cineverse. Check that one out. Student Bodies 4K will be shipping here soon from TerrorVision. Golden Boy from Discotheque. Dead of Night that we talked about earlier is coming out next week from Kino. Deep Crimson 4K from Criterion. Cat and the Canary 4K from Kino. Gatorbait 4K from TerrorVision is not shipping anytime soon. Hopefully in a couple months. That thing has taken a shit ton of work, and it is off to the races and will be in everybody's hands as soon as possible. Malpertuis from Radiance is showing up in people's mailboxes now. The Halloween 3 Season of the Witch 4K Steelbook from Scream is coming out next week. I believe that one was an Amazon exclusive, so check that out. Terrifying Girls High School. That's one from Discotheque that I need to be picking up soon. Mega Man, the complete series from Discotheque as well. My vote for maybe the worst cover art of the year, Relay. This cover is terrible because it's not even like bad Photoshop. It's like first grade Photoshop. Love the movie.
Worse than that Hush Steelbook?
It is. Let me pull it up in HD in another tab and show you, because my God, when you look at how they're cut together, it is, here it is. It is kind of like this guy was an Avatar. That's what you're trying to tell me?
Okay. All right.
That's Jake Sully, and he looks like he's from Minecraft. Going back to our list, yes, the Hush 4K Steelbook is next week. Out of the Fog from Warner Archive, Manhattan Melodrama from Warner Archive, The Mad Miss Matin from Warner Archive, Americana from this year, which I was kind of surprised. I liked quite a bit. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, I've heard is really good, and I'm going to try to figure out if I'm going to get that one on disc because I need to see it. Kamen Rider Amazon from Discotheque, The Master of Belantre from Warner Archive, The Third Wife from Film Movement. There's a lot next week. For Whom the Bell Tolls from Kino. Anyways, any of these that you are either involved in or excited to pick up soon?
Hush, I did the stuff on that.
That's right.
I already got my Shin Godzilla 4K a while ago. I guess I
didn't
get like the special edition release or something. It came from Toho. So I ordered it
Yep.
directly from them, and I've had that for a spell. But there's lots of great stuff in this. I love Edward Scissorhands so much. I love Ms. 45. In the Mouth of Madness, you know, you can't see enough of that. It's a great lineup of films here. I don't know what else to say about it. I wish they would release Scooby-Doo and Kiss movie, because that is one of the great sort of buried gems for Kiss fans. Have you seen that movie?
Years ago I did. Same with Phantom of the
Park.
Yes. Yeah, Phantom of the Park. John Harrison out of Australia just put out his Kiss book, and there's so much that I wish that we could like unfold the rights for. And obviously Kiss has been in a lot of people's minds over the last 10 days with a recent tragedy, but I mean it's like one of those things that people have been itching for forever.
The Kiss and Scooby-Doo movie, and I think it's called Rock and Roll Mystery, if I remember correctly, it is a total love letter to Kiss and Kiss fans. There's so many deep cuts and references to albums. Even there's a lot of, it's heavily leaning into the Elder, songs from the Elder, which is the album that Kiss fans kind of don't talk about, but rich in lore, because it was a concept album that a lot of the elements in this movie pull from. So I can't say enough good things about that. And I would love for that to get Blu-ray, and with interviews and things. How cool would it be to have commentary with Paul and Gene or something like that? Oh, so cool.
I wish. So let's get into some of this special features work. Reverend Entertainment, for those that have not ever heard the name, because it's not usually listed on the back of the box or anything like that. How long ago did you when was the first Reverend Entertainment itself project? That was like 2011, 2012?
That sounds about right. I think it was maybe 2011. The name, I think, was put on something for the first time on Sleepaway Camp. I want to say that must have been the first time, because I remember the editor who I was sitting with at the time, Justin Cruz, who's an amazing talent. It's gone on to much greener pastures than cutting my crap together. He was like, "So what do we put on there for a company name?" And I'm like, "It's just me." He's like, "No, you need to have a company." And I'm like, and there's this whole convoluted story behind the name that I won't bore you with, but it has to do with professional wrestling and witches and Salem and this whole thing from years before. That may be for another day, but I pulled that out of the air at the time when we were sitting there, and that's how Reverend Entertainment was born. And
you can say ass on the show, by the way.
Okay, thank you. And in the moment, I remembered something that Back to Carpenter had told me years ago, which was like, put your name on things. And you acknowledged earlier how bad I am at promoting stuff and how gross it feels. Like even like talking about the album, and when people are asking me about, it's an awkward intersection for me, like transitioning from the creation stage of things into the marketing stage and all of that. It's not really where I belong. But he said his way around that, because he felt the same, was he's like, on his famous story on Halloween 78, when he said, "Okay, well, I'll do it for that amount if my name can be above it." And he told me that's what gave me my career. And he said, "Whatever you do, make sure your name is there." And I'm like, all right, this will be my shortcut to not having to promote things so much and whatever. And so I put that above the Reverend Entertainment name, and it's stuck ever since. And it's been just a crazy journey of ups and downs and all kinds of side roads with small labels and personal projects, like Sleepaway Camp I took to Shout, Body Bags I took to Shout. So some things that I've actually sort of cultivated and taken in. Haunt was that way. Remember, I think you and I talked before about the Haunt box set with Ronan, and how great Ronan was about just letting the three of us, Scott, Brian, and I, just run wild with that thing. So, man, surviving COVID through this, There was a time when I stepped away from the business for a while because I was so burned out. And then I came back for Silent Night, Deadly Night. And they drew me back in. And it's been crazy. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. But yeah, Sleepaway Camp is the first time that my name was on it. The first ones I produced were Halloween 4 and 5.
Yep.
And then there was Tank Girl happening, I think, kind of simultaneously with Sleepaway Camp. And then prior to, at the same time as those, Michael Felsher, the great Michael Felsher, who's like one of the godfathers of the realm of documentary and special features, brought me in on Prince of Darkness when he did that for Shout. And so I interviewed John and Alice Cooper for that, which led to this whole thing with Alice over the years a number of times. And he also brought me in on Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Great film, great release too.
That movie haunted me when I was a kid. I remember seeing it at my babysitter's when she was taking a nap and I'm downstairs. I don't know how tiny I was, just transfixed by what I was seeing. I'll never forget the trombone scene with the knife in the tree. I'm like 5. Turn off your TV. I don't know. Hide the remote. I don't remember.
First off, like most people in the chat that have not seen that sentence alone has to be one of the most enticing.
The trombone and the knife.
The trombone and the knife in the tree.
Yeah. Not something you're going to hear every day. But it's a fascinating movie. And that track for me was the first time that I was like, okay, well, maybe we can try something creative here because it's a real story, right? It's this movie by Charles B. Pierce, who I love from Boggy Creek, which became this whole other thing with Pam. This movie straddles the worlds of reality and cinema in a way that's playful, but also dark. And it's just so good. And so I brought in the case historian, James Presley, who is in the middle of writing a book that's now out on that case. And he was on one side of the conversation talking about the case. I was on the other side talking about the film and Pierce. And we had a discussion that ran on that commentary. And I don't put myself on commentaries unless I asked to, or unless it's like absolutely necessary for some reason. But on that one, I mean, it was so early and I didn't have anyone else to put in that slot. But it was an exciting conversation. And so as much as I tip my hat to, I was giving credit earlier to these other folks, Shout and Trancas and all that, I have to also do the same for Felsher because he had no reason to bring this dumbass from Iowa in to cover any of this stuff. And he did. And I'm forever grateful for that.
I mean, not turning this about me, but just to show how meaningful they are, both Felsher and another one that was mentioned earlier, Lee Gambin, are the two people that I can credit with me getting into the stuff as well. Like Lee brought me into edit. Lee referred me to Felsher for another Shout project. And without them, I wouldn't be sitting here with, 2.5 years of work for this industry behind me now. It's kind of crazy. And a lot of that is because of people like you that kind of, after Anchor Bay came in and set the bar for a lot of people, you and Lee and a handful of others said, well, what else can we do? What can we do to push the boundaries? What can we do to keep this alive? And now, I mean, when Scream Factory approached you, they weren't even Scream Factory yet. They were Shout Factory about Halloween 4 and 5. Now look at what they've done since then. I mean, it's an explosion.
It's crazy. I mean, but Cliff and Jeff, and I can point directly to them. Of course, there's a marketing team there and whatever else, but I think Jeff was head of marketing at the time. It's kind of like what I was talking about with Paramount, where if you have the right fans internally, they can see and seize the opportunity in that moment. And what they were embarking on, they were already underway on, I think, The Fog. I think The Fog was was that the first Scream Factory title? It may have been, but they were underway with The Fog and something else. I can't remember.
I think They Live was one of those first ones as well.
Okay. All right. Well, so it started with Carpenter, and I was just floored with their dedication and passion for this stuff, which it became friendships with those guys and a mutual respect and openness to ideas. And that wasn't something that I necessarily knew to expect or not expect, but it taught me to want that. It taught me to enjoy taking the side roads,
Right.
to enjoy the weird, embrace the arcane. And there's stuff that I got to do with Shout that I wouldn't have ever gotten away with a lot of other labels, like on Willard.
Yeah.
I brought in the rat trainers for audio commentary, and a lot of people are like, look, what is, no, listen
You
to
got to
it.
hear it.
You got to hear it. These guys are amazing, and they've never been tapped for this kind of thing before. And they were nervous coming into the studio, and then, well, we're not gonna. Will you be on it with us? We're not going to have enough to say. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there. I hardly had to say a thing because they had such great stories from wall to wall, and not just about that production, but other things in that realm that the veil isn't lifted on very often, right?
Yep.
And so that has become for me, and that was learned through those early days with Shout. Just like Chris Alexander at Fangoria, who ultimately he's one of the very earliest mile markers for me in terms of someone giving me opportunity. And Chris was always wanting the weirder, the better. And even though he's not with Fango anymore, he's continued that with Delirium, his own films that I think are brilliant. I love his cinema. But that combination of the Fangoria, Chris Alexander approach, we're not going to put Spider-Man on the cover anymore. Now you can do an article on Malatesta's Carnival of Blood or Lady Terminator. You can, we're going to put Alice Cooper on the cover, that kind of stuff. And I think he had been on there before for Fango, before mine, but it taught me to get weird. And that's something that I've always really embraced, and to find, to make time for as many voices on these things as I can, and however I can. Is it always possible to get in the room with them? No, the budgets have never been big for this kind of stuff. But what matters to me is the discussion. It matters is the conversation and the preservation of the history of the movies and these people. So however I have to get there.
A lot of your stuff is on the unique side. And one that I wanted to bring up tonight that we didn't get a chance to talk to last time because it didn't exist yet is Hush. First off, again, a streaming film that could not be seen anymore, was not on Netflix, could not be seen on physical media, was not available anywhere, gets an incredible release, gets a brand new cut, gets all this other stuff. The big thing I want to bring up, we get a video audio commentary for this. Was that your choice? Was that a Flanagan choice? Tell me the story behind it.
Let me tell you the story behind the whole thing, because Mike Flanagan,
hero, by the way, like of all of this stuff.
I'm trying to think of who I could compare him to in terms of, I really can't. I have never worked with a filmmaker before who wanted so badly. Maybe Adam Green. Adam Green is in the same view here. I don't know. My words escaping me right now, but where Mike was like, whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
Whatever you need. And then Mike made it happen. He brought the whole cast together at his house. He opened his home to us for 2 days. And it was me and my team and the internal producer, Jeff Rowland at Shout Factory. And I guess you'd say executive producer. And Mike and Katie were so amazing and so open and hilarious. And the vibe was light. The mood was up. And everybody was just relaxing and loving getting a chance to catch up. I mean, they had seen each other on other projects like Midnight Mass and whatever else. But it was like old home week for those folks to get back together and talk about this movie. And Mike's house is a museum of the most amazing things. And our rapport kicked off in the best way, because he was giving me a tour of the house. He's like, we can shoot anywhere you want, whatever you want to do. He has a theater in there with black mass mannequins or Midnight Mass mannequins in the back with the
nice.
On the walls, he has like all this memorabilia from The Natural and Field of Dreams and The Rocketeer and the hat from Dr. Sleep and all this other. I mean, and he's like, yeah, pick it up, check it out. He's got He's got Tom Servo and whatever. It's insane. And he's giving me the tour of the house, and we go into his office, and I freeze. There's a cane on a stand right by the door. And I said, "Oh my God, is that what I think it is?" And he goes, "Wait, are you a Storm of the Century fan?" And I'm like, "Is that Lenosia's cane?" He's like, "That's Lenosia's hero cane from, yes, you're a fan." And I'm like, am I a fan? I love Storm of the Century. And it has one of the best audio commentaries in the history of audio commentaries, by the way.
Yep.
So it was a very quick bond. And he said, "Well, then turn the corner and let's keep talking." And I turn the corner and find myself standing in front of the most incredible Stephen King collection I have ever seen. Yeah, the other memorabilia is cool, but I'm a King guy, and being close to like the box set edition of The Stand and all this other stuff. And then I look down, and there's the typewriter from Misery.
Oh, jeez.
And there's the hammer from Misery. Mike Flanagan isn't just getting a chance to work on Stephen King's stuff. He is fulfilling a lifelong dream to work on Stephen King's stuff. And he's not coming at it lightly. He lives it. If you enter his home, the man lives it. He really does. And I cannot say enough great things about him. And everybody who came in to do the interviews was so generous with their time and their storytelling. And I think it's a great portrait of a guy early in his career who did something in a newish medium, the streaming thing, who had some complicated relationship with that eventually, right? And that's why he wrestled back the rights. And to your question about the video commentary on that was Jeff Rowland. So that's the internal executive at Shout Factory. And he came up with the idea. He's like, "Can we throw a camera up in the corner of the room?" And so we did it. It was kind of crazy because I had to be hopping in and out of the room because we were like doing other stuff out in the kitchen area where we had gear staged and things. So I would come in, check the audio, head back out. And I think to cover me in that, they put like the box of the movie in the middle of the screen where I was sitting, which is kind of meant to sort of hide me getting in and out of that room all the time because I ruined it. But anyway, it was an honor to be part of, and Mike's incredible. And he sent the sweetest email when it came out shortly before, after he saw everything and had approved all the special features and stuff. And I had all this, he gave me everything from behind the scenes. He gave me all of the BTS stuff that anybody shot with their phones, with EPK, anything. And I got to use it all in the documentaries and everything. And I just love the guy so dearly. And that experience is something I'll never forget. Never forget.
To see somebody that loves physical media be able to wrestle his streaming only film and get a 4-disc loving release with all kinds of new special features, new cut, new everything, was such a, like, I'm so happy for him type of moment. And then to have the release be genuinely great is just so gratifying for people that love him and Stephen King and this legacy that he's been holding for Stephen for all this time. I'm stoked that you can work on it. It turned out just incredible.
Yeah, it's an honor.
To pivot ever so massively from Mike Flanagan, I mean, bringing out the dead, to be able to work on this, to be able to see a Scorsese film that people have been wondering, where the hell is it? Why is this one that we can't see? Why is this one that Criterion hasn't touched yet? What is going on with the rights? Suddenly come out and get a very good release, be very happy, and now be fully out of print. Let's hear some of these stories behind the scenes and all that stuff.
For now.
I mean, we all kind of know it's probably coming again soon.
Okay. Well, they just announced Breakdown. So you never know what may be coming down the road. Right. But I've been knocking on that door like the biggest pest ever since that thing, because it ran out of print in like 2 weeks. Literally on pre-order, I think. On pre-order. Yeah. It came out, and if anybody had one, it was like grab it and run, which was a real shame. That project was something that I pushed for so hard, and I was so annoying to the team at Paramount. because I love that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And that's one of them that I bring up time and time again to people. What's an unsung movie? What's like the hidden gem, whatever. Always point to that. I held on to my original Paramount DVD with that red cover forever and ever, assuming nothing would happen with it. And then it became a running joke with me and the people inside Paramount, where we'd have a meeting about Paramount scares or about Breakdown or whatever else. And I'm like, and I can't wait to get going on Bringing Out the Dead. And they're like, oh, Justin, you're such a dick. Eventually, though, I think it was with the aid of Killers of the Flower Moon happening.
Yeah.
The doors started to open around it. And then it became a waiting game for Scorsese and Cage, because Scorsese was he was reshooting. He's back in Oklahoma. And we had to be patient. And Cage was on board, very enthusiastic. He would be doing media events for new movies that had landed. And he's in the press queue. And they're like, so what else you got working on? Well, I'm really excited that Bringing Out the Dead is finally going to get a proper release. And I'm going to be part of that. Like, he was talking about it on worldwide media TV and stuff. So I'm like, but it did get to the point, especially with Scorsese and his schedule, where it was like, okay, is this going to happen? And I give all the credit in the world to the internal team at Paramount, because at any moment they could have just pulled the trigger. The transfer, I mean, they could have put that out bare bones, or not, with at least the previous features that were on that DVD from years ago, and left it at that. But they were so wonderful about being patient. And man, and then just like so many other things in entertainment, I get the call or the email that Scorsese is available, and it's like, but it's like this Friday, and you have one day before he goes on this international media blitz for Flower, and it has to be in New York City, and here's a list of the hotels that are acceptable to film at, and this Friday, so let us know what time you'll be here. Whoa, this is like 2 years of waiting and emailing and okay, can't wait, and thank you so much for your time, we'll look forward to hearing from you, and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like the lights flashing green right in my face. And so again, tip of the hat to Paramount, that that team moves so fast to help put the pieces together to get me and the internal gal up to New York City. It was like around Christmas time, and it was such a whirlwind. It was like a couple days. Oh, I reached out to Paul Schrader, who was super excited to talk, which I was thrilled about, because I don't, you never know with Paul. But he was wonderful on the day and very generous with his time too. And then we found all this unused EPK stuff, interviews from the set of the film that nobody had done anything with, which is an unreal find. The only other time we encountered that was on Golden Child, which was one of my early Paramount titles, which that's the bulk of what we had to work with, was just this on-set interview stuff. And I'm like, this is you. And I couldn't put it all in there, but I really, really wanted to. Just like, let's put these interviews uncut.
Yep.
Eddie Murphy is talking about his concept for the movie Raw during shooting of Golden Child. It didn't have a name yet, but the way he describes it, I have this idea, and he's giving all these kudos to Richard Pryor. No one can do a stand-up comedy movie now that Richard mastered the craft. He delivered the ultimate, and I don't even want to touch it. So my idea is something a little bit different. There's going to be characters, and I don't know, whatever. It's amazing. You see that stuff. To see that. Yeah. So Bringing Out the Dead, all of a sudden in front of me is Tom Sizemore and Ving Rhames and John Goodman. I mean, the whole cast is right there. Patricia, everybody.
Nice.
On the set of the film with all this behind the scenes stuff. And then Bob Richardson has always been great with me. Like when I've done a bunch of the Oliver Stone movies, and Bob was always down to come and talk, and we bonded over our love for The Doors early on. And so he showed up for it. the best, though. I'm the hugest Nicolas Cage fan. And never would I think that I would get the chance to go hang out with Nicolas Cage. Chris Alexander, back to him from Fangoria, has an incredible, that trumps mine by 1,000% story about Nicolas Cage. Those of you who are watching, search for Chris Alexander and Nicolas Cage and maybe the word island. There's a whole story about when Cage reached out to Chris for an interview, and it might have been on Ghost Rider movies or something. Must have been. And he's like, yeah, we can do it, but you have to come to my island. I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's worth reading and it's so much better. My paraphrasing would not do it justice, but
yep.
Chris made it like an overnight flight down to get on this little rowboat, like it's shuttled out to this island where he's eating snail penises and stuff with Nicolas Cage. This is all real and you need to check it out, people. So Chris Alexander, Nicolas Cage, and Island, look it up. My story, though, going to Cage's house in Vegas, which was the best experience interview-wise I think I've probably ever had. Because it was him, because it was his house and his environment. I mean, and he couldn't have been sweeter the whole time. He couldn't have been more grounded, more real. He had made notes on his phone to make sure he talked about all the stuff that he wanted to talk about. How many people, the number of people who have walked into interviews with me in what, like 15 years now or whatever, with notes. Yeah. That's it.
Incredible.
He had a new baby and he wanted us to meet the baby and kept walking over. Like as we're setting up, he's hanging out with his kid. He's got this grand open plan for his layout of his house, this massive fireplace in the middle, a dining table that's like the one in Batman when Vicky Vale's sitting on one end and Bruce is all the way down here and they're like, what? I can't, it's like that's Nick's life in his dining room. There's an aviary in the back of the room with a bunch of large birds living in it. There's fish tanks everywhere, horror posters all over. In the middle of all this are little tykes, climbers, and plastic houses for his kids. But the thing he was most excited about out of all of it was he's like, I got to show you my new room that I just finished. And he's like,
oh, yeah.
It's downstairs. Did I tell you about this already?
No, you wrote a big long write-up about it on
Facebook or something.
And
yeah, okay.
It's an incredible piece. And am I remembering this was in Vegas too, right?
Vegas, yeah, Las Vegas, yeah. And he's like, you got to see my black light room. And I forgot that I had posted that. So if this is repeat for anybody, apologies. But anyway, under his living room, there's like this tight metal spiral staircase, like in The Haunting.
Because of course.
Although way smaller, because of course. And it's Las Vegas. And I'm thinking,
right.
Sure, how many gangsters have lived in this gate? Because he lives in a gated area of Vegas, like which you need to if you live in Vegas, from what I understand. And anyway, you go down this little staircase, and it's a hallway that's covered on all sides except the floor in blacklight posters, like what we used to have when we were the Fuzzy, and you get them at fairs or whatever, and they have like a
Spencer's.
Spencer's. There you go. The Grim Reaper, like holding a snake, and I don't know. AC/DC and shit. But it was all this all the way down the hall, and there's just a little room at the end of it, no doors, just a hallway, which I'm sure people have probably been murdered in, whoever lived in this house before. And then Las Vegas, come on, gangsters, whatever. And he's like, I hear him, isn't it great? He was so proud of his black lights in this underground hallway in his house. He was just charming and wonderful and sincere. And at the end, we were talking about other movies that he wishes would get this kind of treatment. And we agreed on Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yeah.
We talked about a few other films, but he was, from the moment I got there and he opened the door, he's just a family guy. He is. I mean, everyone thinks there's crazy Nicolas Cage, but I can say when you see him at home, he loves being around his kids and his wife. And
just a man in his black lights.
just a man in his black lights in his aviary full of giant birds. And giant dragon sconces all over on the floor and his Batman table. Awesome. It was great. And then when it came out, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And singing from the mountains about this thing. And then it sells out so quickly because that was part of the Paramount Presents series. And if you'll recall, when that was going, all those were limited.
Yep.
And I think that happened on Breakdown too. I think Breakdown sold out pretty quickly as well. Some of the other stuff I did, like Blue Hawaii, didn't do very well, even though I was super excited to work on that.
Yeah.
And a few, but for the most part, a lot of those titles did very, very well.
Yep.
And then it just became, again, like me being annoying about Bringing Out the Dead again. Now it's okay, we did it. When is it going to hit general catalog? When's it going to hit general catalog? And I sent that same email today, a matter of hours prior to you and I connecting, to ask once again, is this going to happen? And I'll just say never. And I certainly hope that it happens sooner than later, because there's still people asking me about it all the time.
Of course.
And it was that was it. That was the swan song. That was my final project with Paramount, which is crushing, but also at the same time so perfect. Yeah. Because it's the one that I was like chasing around, and the one that we had to be so patient with, and the one where I'm in the room with, I mean, just all of it, the whole all the stories behind it, all the lead up, all the hubbub, the rush, the week of the shoots in New York. Paul Schrader showing me the finger where Scorsese's dog bit him at some party, I guess. Anyway, he had a big bandage on his face. I'm like, what happened? He's like, we'll ask him. His dog bit me. I told you it was a biter. But anyway, for that to be it, I hope it comes back someday if some miracle happens and Skydance loses ownership of Paramount and decides to invest in physical media again. But I'll always, I mean, what better way to ride off in the sunset, And really, it was the same with Shout and Hush. Hush, I think it was certainly the last production for me.
Wow.
With Shout. I was also working on Born on the 4th of July. Yeah, and JFK at the same time. Maybe Born on the 4th of July might have been a little earlier, or I might be flip-flopping those, but I think Hush was the last actual release with them too, and that experience with Mike was unforgettable.
Yeah,
and
it's a pretty robust thing to end on.
It really is in both cases. I mean, a happy accident. If something had to come to a conclusion, I'm glad it did in those ways and with those films.
Yeah. I mean, the companies that you've worked for throughout the years are kind of crazy to run down the list. I mean, first of all, a lot of people that do this don't ever get a chance to be not even like touching studio things, but to be so close with studio things.
Right.
And for you to be, deep inside Paramount has got to be such a cool thing. I mean, you were mentioning the archive. Literally everybody that has a Paramount deal always mentions this, because most studios will say, no, we don't have anything. Yeah. And that's it. Sorry.
And a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't maintain that. Yeah.
With Paramount, it's literally, we might, and we will send people down there and literally uncover as much as we can. And most of the time, they have something. Their archive is incredible.
In the years that I've been talking about this stuff, the stories that always rise to the top are somehow, I mean, there are many, but some of the greatest rewards for me are relating to finds and discoveries with that team, and things that I was allowed to do that I really probably didn't have the right to do. Like on The Last Castle. Did we talk about that last time?
I don't think so. I think we did before we recorded, but I don't think we went deep into it during.
Okay. So The Last Castle, for those who aren't aware, is an amazing movie and is absolutely one to track down. Robert Redford, James Gandolfini, Mark Ruffalo. It's so stacked. It's a real powerhouse film, but it suffered a really unfortunate fate. That when they were in post on this movie, they had released teaser posters and trailers, maybe a trailer, but definitely ads and posters. The movie is about a military prison being overthrown by the inmates, led by Robert Redford, who's put in there. And the poster was like 2 military prison towers on fire with a tattered flag in the foreground. And then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And so they had to recall the whole ad campaign. They sent out apologies. I still have, I tracked down on eBay some of the materials that were sent out to different newspapers and theaters. Like, we're so sorry. Pull what you have, use this stuff instead. And so as a result, the movie just came and went. It just absolutely disappeared. But it's a real powerhouse film. And that was so much fun to be part of. But one of the stories, similar to with Breakdown, the director, when he was talking to me about the impact that 9/11 had on the film, and it's not just its release, but the film as a whole.
Right.
Originally, that film, and they shot it, was meant to end. Spoiler. Can I give a spoiler here? Where
Of
people
course, yeah.
Okay. The film, Redford's character passes away, and it was to end with his military funeral. And at the end of it, in this very symbolic gesture, the flag from his coffin is folded up and then handed to his daughter, which is a certain moment of closure that if you watch the film, you know their complicated relationship is very much at the heart of a lot of the movie. And so it's a moment that really matters. It really did. But I understand their desire to not have something like that at the end of a movie at that time. I very much respect that, of course. But when I was talking about it with him, he mentioned that he's like, I've never even seen the footage. I don't know what happened to it, but I don't know. And so I went to the archive team and I'm like, if I could just get some stills, if I can get anything, if we have any scraps of that day. And they came back, to my astonishment, and said, not only do we have it, we have everything on the day.
Jeez.
It had never been assembled, but it's like take 1, take 2, take 3, take 1, take, for the whole thing. Like, you're seeing the trumpeters, you're seeing the hands over the casket folding the flag. It's all there. And the scratch audio is all there too, that they had on the day. I only say scratch because it wasn't processed and cleaned and all that. And perfect. Okay, so I can at least cut this into the piece, right? And then one day, as I was waiting for something else that took time, I had some downtime, and I thought, let me just monkey around with this. And I start choosing shots and putting together this scene to see what it would be like to have this assembled in its primitive form. I mean, this was pretty early in my editing days too. I'm an eternal student in that regard, and I have a million miles to go to get anywhere near to like the Felshers and these guys that are out there, but I'm doing my best. But on this day, I decided to cut the end for the last castle. And then I sent it in to my then executive at Paramount. And I said, hey, here's what it would look like, but I'm going to choose a few bits and pieces. And he came back and he's like, no, hold on. Let me send it to legal. What? Long story long, again, it gets cleared and it's on the disc. So the alternate ending that's on that disc, which I think is now up to 4K maybe by Kino, or someone else has picked it up. It's lived on. It's continued to live on, which is so exciting. That edit is by me, and I had no right to be doing it. But what an amazing thing to cut a scene in a Robert Redford movie when I probably shouldn't have been. And for them, but for them to support me in it, for them to be like, yeah, you know what, this is cool, instead of what have you done, which is totally what I expected to get back. All goes back to the archive team, though. They could have easily just said, because I don't think that stuff was on their inventory sheet. They could have easily just said nope. But they went and they found every bit of it and sent every bit of it to me. They could have just sent me clips.
That's true.
They could have done a million things, but instead they just gave me the whole thing, and it was so awesome. So, yeah.
That's so cool. I don't know if you're privy to this information. Jake is asking, do you know how many copies of the Paramount Presents line gets pressed? I found from someone else, I think they had said that it was 6,000 of every Paramount Presents.
That sounds right. That sounds correct, I think. And they may have even done a few additional on that one, I want to say. I can't remember, but I think 6 is correct. Yeah. I'd have to confirm. I can't remember exactly.
For some of those titles,
If there was
6 is
more.
so low. It's rough.
It was a new thing. You got to
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is a studio that has skimped on releases historically. Think about all those Paramount DVDs back in the day. There was a uniformity to how they looked, with some people appreciated that box on the back at the top, special features, animated menus, which we all love. But they were never famous for their special features. And for these guys to come in, this crew, who I got the good fortune to work with, and push for a Paramount Presents line, let alone Paramount Scares.
Right.
And whatever degrees of success that has or will have, I mean, it's really a feat if you consider that it's with this historic studio who really hasn't paid a whole lot of love to their movies on home video. So I think Paramount Presents was an experiment that went very well in some cases, not very well in some others, like any catalog. But it was a special moment for them. And if these Skydance people are going to come in, and I don't know what they're going to do or what their plan is, but I do know that this kind of stuff doesn't seem to be a real big focus right now. Right. And if, just like I'm saying with Bringing Out the Dead for me personally, if the Paramount Presents line was the sort of sign off for in-house curated releases with new content, they did a hell of a job on it.
Well, and they did a lot for that in a fairly short period of time. I mean, pre-2020, Paramount was out of the game. There was not anything happening. And really, like, Imprint in Australia is one of the big greasing of the wheels that happened here. It was, there's a lot of demand for these things. And so Imprint got those down there. And now in the US, they exploded. And very quickly got that catalog. I think they ended up like 35, 40 something.
And they're so nice.
Like
you got that open cover with the original poster art in there, the slip sleeve. A lot of love was put into all of those by the whole team in there. And it was the same with the Scares stuff. And I hope that continues. I hope that it would be great to see a whole line evolve from that. But with the state of things there now, I frankly have no clue what the future holds for any of that stuff. But we got it while we did. Yeah, right? We got it while we did.
Well, and it's not the same, but the branding continues to live on. We know TerraVision has more of the VHS coming with the Paramount Scares branding. So hopefully that can stay resurrected for some time. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so.
Trying to keep you less than about 3 hours. We got about 7.5 minutes left. If I'm sticking to that sort of lightning round, as quick as you can for some of these.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the special feature that you look back on and feel like this is my, like, fully realized, if I'm summing up everything that I've done on special features, this is the one that I present to somebody?
Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Really?
It's a good pick.
Really. Because that was and I know you're saying lightning round, but that was a film that had been so maligned for so long, had been reduced to a punchline and a meme. And what I found with Lee Harry, the director, Eric Freeman, with the assistance of Justin Powell, Pizzal, he calls himself on YouTube and stuff, but he helped connect me with Eric. And again, back to the sincerity thing that I keep talking about. So much time and love went into making that movie something more than what the assignment was. And it was a tremendous opportunity for me to help the world see Lee Harry as a filmmaker, to see Eric Freeman for who he is instead of just Garbage Day. And Lee dug up footage from when he was a little kid making movies in his backyard, and it matched exactly to what he had told me in the interview. And when I asked him about it while I'm sitting there editing with my editor, Mike Saunders from Prescribed Films at the time, and I'm like texting, I'm like, Lee, does this stuff exist? And he's like, well, somewhere, maybe. And then it starts showing up in my inbox, and it matches note for note for exactly how he was describing being a filmmaker in his backyard with his friends and family when he was little. And it just feels to me like a way to sort of justify that. But also one that I know I've received criticism for is Big Trouble in Little China. Because on that one, I always say I had no breaks.
Right.
Because I discovered that everyone who wasn't Kurt Russell was basically ignored on all the video releases historically. Forever. And then, as I think you and I talked about this before, so forgive the repetition, but the chance to talk with Carter Wong and you name it, man, all those guys are icons in their field, and they took the time to come in and talk. And I wanted to present those conversations in as full as possible, because it's like, I think it still is the only time many of them have been interviewed for something like that.
Right.
And I received a lot of flack from people for lack of cuts and whatever, but it's like, no, this is so much more in my mind for them and their story. And Drew Struzan, who we just lost, same thing.
Yep.
Where Drew was so sweet. I should have been more prepared here. He sent me after the interview with him for that. He sent me a charcoal drawing of a panther and signed it Drew Struzan, which I think he usually just signs Struzan on stuff. And then he sent me this other thing. Damn, I should have brought it here. It's this quote from Thoreau about if we could only look into each other's eyes one more time. I'm not going to paraphrase this and ruin it, but it's like the sweetest thing. And so I have them hung like that side by side. Like, who does that? I haven't.
It's incredible.
No one reaches out after interviews usually and says anything, but Carter Wong sent me a gold framed picture, not real gold. I mean, like a gold color. I don't know. Picture of him in a temple with a thank you on it, and it says good luck on it. Like that happened on the same project on Big Trouble. And so I'll take all the shit I can get from people who are complaining about my lack of edits on that. My job was to get these people's stories out there, and I wanted it to be as thorough as I could. And so I'm honored to have been part of any of that, let alone having these guys say such nice things. But
well, and now how fortunate we're probably not going to get another release of that, because now it's under the Disney catalog. So that's probably the last word on it.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah. Well, it was those two are the two that I probably talk about the most, and then Bringing Out the Dead, of course, is like the perfect adios.
One that we didn't talk about last time is I've had people ask me how I'm doing it, but the big question is for somebody like you, how do you do all this from Iowa? How are you somebody that lives in Iowa and is working on these major projects for people that are nowhere near Iowa ever? Well,
having incredible people around me is the answer to that. I have my cinematographers in LA. I like all over the world in pockets.
Yep.
I have these amazing DPs who I work with, and oftentimes I'm asking someone for a referral. Like Anthony Ferrante has been great in a number of cases because he's shot kind of everywhere. So he knows people all over the place. Hey, do you have someone in blank? And that's kind of something a lot of us in this side of the business do anyway, because there aren't that many of us out there playing this game. So for the most part, it seems like at least the people close to me were all very happy to share contacts and references and whatever. But it's a combination of being able to conduct interviews remotely from here with a camera person in the room with the other party, or depending on how deep I am in all these projects, the cinematographers might handle the interview in person with what I've sent them. I try to be there in person as often as I can. In fact, tomorrow afternoon, I'm flying out to LA. Nice. And I'll be out there for a week shooting stuff. And but COVID helped level that field a little bit, because it made it acceptable to have someone on a screen talking to you instead of having to be in the room. And so I'm very grateful for that. And the technology's evolved a lot since COVID too. Like Zoom resolution is such trash, and it maxes out at like 720 or maybe even 480. I don't know, 720. It was such a miserable thing to have to struggle with during COVID. And then come services like Riverside, where I can get 4K and whatever else. So you can also get some pretty solid remote stuff shot now too, with people in other countries or somewhere where I don't have a crew or can't find someone. And a lot of times people pop up at the last minute. Oh, I'm available now. And we can do that now. So back to my point, I mean, it's like, it's varying degrees of like, of means to be able to do it. And to me, it's all about gathering those stories. But
It's true.
I mean, I would start rattling off names, but I don't want to make anyone feel like they're left out in doing that, because everybody is so vital to this effort.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, ultimately the company it's me here in Iowa. Yes, as you said, but it's not. It's this family of impossibly awesome creative people that are around me and supporting me, and my friends, like I mentioned, Lynn, who doesn't work for my company, Lynn Amaker, who I mentioned at the very beginning of this, but is always helping me with stuff, layouts and graphic things. He's a computer guy who knows so much. I could just run down a list, but I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's this family. It's a family.
So much of this is literally just networks of people and building the relationships and trust and being able to say, oh, I need this person on this day. I know that I can trust these 4 people and be able to reach out to them at any point. It's kind of incredible to see how many people touch a single one of these projects, let alone like an entire company's lineup.
Oh, it's absolutely. And I love when someone reaches out. It just happened today. Someone, hey, do you have anybody in blank? And I do. Here's their name. And it was New York City. So it takes me back to shooting with Scorsese and all that up there. But I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I got a great guy up there. And it spread the love. We're all fighting the same fight. And it takes anybody who claims this is a one-person thing, I don't know how they would do that, first of all. But I have to just I bend the knee to reference Game of Thrones to the people around me in this thing and who have supported me through the years, and just so indebted to them.
Since 2020, a title that's come out that you are wishing that Reverend would have been on instead of whoever did it.
Since 2020?
Yeah, that's the time when, everybody was getting stimulus checks and everything exploded. And it seems like since that time, we've had more companies start. We've had more releases. I mean, we're at the point now where we'll get 3 weeks in a row where there's more than 100 announcements. It's kind of insane.
I don't know about the 2020 thing. A few that I wish, like Night of the Demons for Shout Factory. I wish I would have been on those. I did an exhaustive. That's what got me the gig at Fango, was this bloated Night of the Demons retrospective I wrote and sent to Chris. I'm like, can I write for the? I hear you're heading in as editor.
Yeah.
And still, anyway, Night of the Demons. I love those movies so much, and so I already had all the contacts. And when I heard that it was being released, I'm like, oh, okay, guys. And they're like, oh, it's already done. I'm like, oh man. So that was one. I wish the Halloween box set.
Yeah.
We're not talking 2020. I did work on that 4K set. I worked on Resurrection on that one. But I wish I could have done that whole box set.
Yeah.
There was a time when that was discussed, and that's a great regret. But you brought up, what was the one you brought up when you were going through that list? You were like, I was like, oh man, I wish I could have worked on that. You just brought one up a little bit ago. I mean, it's always happening, man. It's always happening, because there's so many films that have only been available on bare bones releases where the stories have never been heard. And I'm like, oh, let's talk to the guy who taught the dog to do the basketball shot in Air Bud or whatever.
Yeah, I get like that with a bunch of titles, and then the other thing is I'll get with get all excited about something and realize, oh, it's an MGM title.
Yeah.
That means nothing is gonna happen.
And some of them I wish I could revisit. Like, I wish I could go
Yep.
back and recut some things. I wish that
Same.
I was talking so much with Crispin during the production of the Willard disc, and his dad, his late dad, and
Yeah.
Crispin's was so down to do it, but he was stuck overseas buying a castle. That's a real
It
story.
happens.
That's a real story. And so we missed our flights, you could say. And it's heartbreaking because I really wanted to do a really robust tribute to him on that. And someday I would love to do that in some form, but let's get back into that. When I was working, I just the list is so long of titles that I wish I could go back and add more to or have been a part of. But I really love watching the work that all these other folks do too, because I get sick of what I do and seeing, I don't like to revisit the things that I've made after they're done. And so it's in a way, it's better if someone else gets like Night of the Demons.
Yeah.
Because then I can watch it and enjoy it. Whereas I've always described this thing, I don't know if I said this last time we talked, but I've always felt that working in this realm, it's like entering a relationship over and over again that is doomed. Like, imagine getting involved with someone and knowing when it's going to end.
Yeah.
And so I get the opportunity to work on these movies I love. And I'm going to spend so much time with them. I'm going to be poring over frame by frame, trying to find the right cuts, the right moments, the right quotes. I will have seen it so many times that by the time it's done, I can't almost bear to look at it again, at least for a while. And there are some movies that have countered that experience, but a lot of them, it's still like, it was such an intense window of time, such an intense relationship in such a short period that it's almost like I just need time away from it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of tragic in a way like that, where I was like, oh, I can't wait to work on, I don't know, whatever movie. And then knowing that in a matter of months, it's going to be this breakup. It's kind of sad. So in a way, it's nice when other people get hired for stuff I love, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I feel that immensely. Two more things. I'll take the easier one first. In your mind, what makes a good supplemental feature?
Consideration for the person being interviewed, the people being interviewed, not just phoning it in with the same rote questions. Like, research it enough to know what other people have already covered, especially if it's been covered a lot. So I think that the best special features present someone with sincerity, and it follows their lead in the stories they tell.
Yep.
Because you can dictate through editing in a lot of ways, but I've always found the journey following that person down whatever side roads they want to lead the discussion to be the most interesting stuff.
Yep.
And the special features, whether they're commentaries or documentaries that I'm proudest of, are the ones where we really got to see the person there, where we really got through that sort of media of guise or the normal pocket questions or answers that they pull out.
Yep.
There's been some really emotional moments, some really special moments with people, like even back to early on with Felissa Rose at the end of the Sleepaway Camp documentary. Because I love to ask people at the end, after all of this, after all these years, and what does the movie mean to you now, and what's your relationship like with it? There's my rote question that I ask everybody. But by that time, you've established something special. And so that moment really settles in a different way if you've had that kind of in-depth conversation up until that point. And there have been some just really amazing moments just with the end of the discussion as a result of that. So I think it's offering something new to the audience. I think it's offering the person being interviewed an experience for themselves. And I think it's showing respect to all involved to show up ready for whatever direction it's going to go in. I still think that Darkest Days is the greatest film documentary ever made about the making of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Charles has made an absolute masterpiece with that movie. And that's like my beacon is remember it can be this good. You'll never be there, but it can be this good. So never stop reaching and trying new things and whatever. So anyway, that would be my answer to that.
As existential as it's going to be, especially following that, what is left for Justin in this industry? What is there left for you to tackle? What do you feel like you are missing?
Nothing. If this ended tomorrow, I'd be okay. If it ended now,
yeah.
I mean, it's really you're asking me the same kind of question that I asked these people that I was just talking about, and here I go. But it's given me a life that I never expected, Ryan. And I'm not rich, and I'm not out hobnobbing with celebrities or anything, but I'm really honored and proud to have been able to do what I have, even with my limited means. None of this was a plan, just like with the record you asked at the beginning. Like there was no plan to make an album. I became obsessed with creating something, and then it happened. And that's kind of how this whole road has been for me. Has been just continuing to do and to try to do in a way that serves the things we were just talking about in the last answer. But I don't have any goals in it because I'm so surprised that any of it's happened. And it's an industry where there's no ladder to climb.
Right.
And what matters to me is family and friends, and they're always going to be there. So if this whatever, I'll go back to working for a finance company or whatever else I need to do. But I'll always look back at it fondly and be so grateful for what I've been afforded in this, because this guy from Iowa shouldn't have been a part of it at all. And that's how it's happened though. So I don't know. Bad answer. Terrible answer for that. Great question.
I mean, it's not though. It's one of those things. There are many reasons to do this sort of thing, and I think that speaks to the kind of person you are, the kind of person that I am about this. Is I never sought out doing a lot of this stuff. It was mostly just it happened, and I needed to help somebody, and suddenly there's opportunities that come from that. And I don't have the goal of, making a film. Like I've never been somebody that's desired to be a director. I've same thing as probably many of the people in the chat tonight. Like I did like stupid, silly short films with friends and stuff like that in high school, but
Sure.
I've never thought I'm going to write a film and see it play in a festival or anything like that. And there are people in this industry that are doing stuff like this that have those goals, that they are seeing this as, I'm building up skills to be able to do that someday.
Absolutely.
I will be releasing a film.
Yep.
There are many of these people that do it to meet celebrities. There are many of these people that do this to get rich, and you're in the wrong industry because it does not pay.
I would guess though. I mean, I really want to say that after the years of meeting people on all kinds of levels of success, and most notably and importantly to me, after being part of so many film festivals over time, or conventions that have film festivals and stuff, most people aren't in it for those reasons.
No, most are not.
The filmmakers that I meet, the people I'm lucky enough to sit with, I can't even think of how many of them even talk about money.
Right.
I mean, this is an industry that involves an orchestra to make anything happen. And that, back to your question about Reverend and how I do it. Like it is the orchestra. It is,
Yep.
and every piece is important equally in that, right? To get a movie made on any level is a fucking miracle. And it's harder now than ever to do something substantial.
Yep.
We have the means now in our pockets. Yeah, there's movies being shot on cameras that are affordable finally. So that's great. There's an economy to that. More kids in more backyards shooting more stuff. Bring it on. I'm happy for that. But I don't know how many people who get into this business aiming to make money really end up happy. Not just because the business is famous for eating people alive, but also because if you can't be satisfied with what you're doing on your personal creative level,
Yep,
then there's not going to be joy here because there is no finish line.
right.
There's no arrival date. Even people who get the star on the Walk of Fame or whatever, that's paid for. That's campaigned for. You
Yep.
buy those, right? There are awards that mean something, but it's just people who want to. It goes back to what I was talking about with the column for Remind Magazine, where it's like I have such deep reverence for these people who wanted to create some crazy theme park on the side of a mountain that's like a Wild West town that is a shootout 6 times a day and has a roller coaster off the side of a mountain in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. Ghost town in the sky. Anyone who has an idea and wants to create something to bring joy to others, ultimately, they have to first be serving their own creative instincts and drive. And for me, and from what I've seen over the years, it just seems like money doesn't really, outside of the ability to create things when you have it, I don't talk to filmmakers about how much they make. It doesn't come up.
Yeah. To me, like most of the times when it comes up, it's literally, I just need enough to be able to fund
Yes.
that next project.
Right.
And that alone shows why they're in it. It's literally just, I just want to be creating. What can I do to get that done?
Yeah. To continue to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible. This has been a really fun companion to the last conversation. Cannot wait 2.5 years for the next time.
Were there any questions that popped up in the chat? I don't see the chat. So were there anything in there that we needed to address?
I've asked a lot of them. I think most people have been captivated by the conversation, and it's the feedback has slowed down just because the stories.
It's running long. Yeah.
Not even like a couple weeks ago we went 5 hours. So
oh damn.
This is a long show by default, I guess.
I know.
I mean, the stories themselves are enough. I mean, we don't have supplemental features for supplemental features. So it's always interesting to hear about blacklight hallways and dog bites.
Crazy life, man. Crazy life.
Oh, Justin, this has been amazing. Everybody, please go check out the album in the description, the book in the description, the website in the description. Follow Reverend. Are you mostly active on Facebook, or is there anywhere else you want people to follow you for updates?
Facebook and Instagram are the two, and then the band Fandom Lightkeeper is on Bandcamp. On my website, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but if you order the vinyl is limited to 100. They're pressed on ghost white vinyl from Waxwork, and I still have maybe just under half of those left. It came out, I think, a week ago, and I'm down to half already. So, and there's also CDs there. But if you buy either one of those from my site, the CD or the vinyl, then you also get a digital download of the whole album, and that comes with a bonus track that's not available anywhere else. That being said, it's also available, excuse me, on Bandcamp, so you can get it there. But on my site, I have samples and things if you want to hear some of the songs and my crazy noise that I make with it. Thank you for spotlighting that, man. I appreciate it. It's been a hustle to get this thing out there, and it's really cool to chat with you about it.
Well, and
everything else.
I don't think we've talked about it, but I feel like I've heard you talk about somewhere else about imposter syndrome, and it's something I struggle with immensely, literally on like a daily basis. I don't know why I'm in a room. I don't know why I'm having a
Am I wearing
conversation
this shirt?
with this person. Exactly. And it's like, sure, okay, I'll deal with it, but it still feels weird. And marketing myself is one of those things that I don't like telling people about anything that I do. I just
Yeah.
want you to know about it.
Yeah, this is such a strange thing for me, because if you think about, we're talking about the orchestra of people involved with making film and documentary and these awesome team members I have around all over. And with this, though, it's just me. And so to answer for it, it feels so vulnerable, is what I've talked about before. And when Greg and Pearl had me on Land of the Creeps, I got straight up emotional about it, because I was still dealing with this being a thing now. Because it's one thing to create something and be in the mania of its making, but then when it's done and it's all sent off to press and Waxwork is working on it and the CDs are being pressed, and then it's like, this is out of your hands now. And then I had this moment of realization, like, God, what have I done? Like, why did I do this? And I especially with this music thing, I'm getting a little better about it and my feelings about it, but it does feel extremely vulnerable for me. And even though it sounds crazy because there's no words in the music, it's instrumental stuff, but it really was, I think, it's something I had to go through. Yeah. And I didn't realize that until two things happened. One was an email I got from Elias Marriage, who made Shadow the Vampire and Begotten. And he was telling me about his experience listening to the album. And it was the sweetest thing, but part of it completely flew over my head, where he was seeing or hearing something that I now am amazed that he caught. And then when I was talking to Greg and Pearl on Land of the Creeps, and they were telling me what they heard in the music, and then I just realized that this kind of needed to happen, similar to Elias when he told me about making Begotten. He said that's a film that had to move through him. It had to happen. Yeah. And it was a process he didn't know how to turn off at the end, because he didn't know how or why or when to say enough is enough. And a friend had to intervene and get him, like, pry his hands away from editing on the thing. Like, it just has to be done at some point.
Got to give it to the world.
And so not to get too heady about the whole thing, this is fucking instrumental weirdo surf stuff, but it really meant a lot to me to make it. And you're hearing it basically chronologically as you listen through the album as I recorded the tracks. The only two that are flipped are the first two. Yeah. But everything else, it's like the process of my making it is right there in real time. And it was an immense joy to make that. And so I don't know that I'll ever be comfortable with a guitar in my hands instead of drumsticks, but I sure as hell do love making some noise with this, and I'm excited to continue doing it.
Well, I enjoyed it, so thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, other than we'll see you next Thursday, when do we get a good release of Begotten? God damn it. Somebody put that out.
We'll talk.
On that note, have a good week, because I got to talk to Justin after this outro. We'll see you all next Thursday. Have a good one. Be safe. See you then. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.